All right, DGG. You're mine now. I own you. Okay. Everyone subscribe to the soy pill. Everyone type one to end the deep state. Everyone go and give me super chats, $5 super chats with no message in them because I don't care what you know. But thank you all for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Destiny for giving me this time to try to explain. I hope this establishes me as someone who's not crazy because I'm doing the soy face in the thumbnail in the debate, and I swear to God, the soy thing is ironic. I'm not soying out. I'm not spurging. I just got a little mad for people calling me a liar when at worst I'm just stupid. All right, it's at worst. So let me find this for him. Oh, and if you also go subscribe to my Patreon, I can quit my job. So please do that. Please respond gooning or edging. I thought gooning and edging were the same thing. Where do I live? San Francisco, Bay Area. That's why I'm such a lib. Mr. Soy, at the end of the discussion, ask him what his prior probability was and if it's moved. Oh, yeah, I should do that. Thank you. Can I kiss you? No, I have a girlfriend. I'm sorry. Edges win. No, get out of my chat. Get out of my head. Get out of my head. What about me? You can kiss me, YouTube hates free speech, but only because I know you in real life. My dad passed away because he had congestive heart failure, and the insurance wouldn't let him stay in the hospital past a few days. He had Medicaid, though. I'm sorry to hear that, Andrew G. But again, I don't know if that's going to convince anyone. It's more of like, hey, could we prove that they should have approved it and they didn't? And then if they do, I'm at the current moment, Tem, I'm going to try to stream every Friday and have a little more structure. Say like, hey, let's talk about these two things and then play some games in chat. But I really still want to make videos and I don't want to be distracted too much to make my like actual long form video essays. Squid, are you upside down? Edges when you don't let yourself finish. You never get to finish? That's awful. So obviously the other one, Yee or Peepee, or is it Yee or Pepe? Oh my God, you're putting on the schedule. Thank you, Tim. All right, let me see if this is what I wanted though.
Okay, I'm here.
Hey, welcome back. So, I mean, I think if you just Google, I mean, this is just the first one that came up, but if you just take any like, hey, McKinsey Allstate leaks, like you will find like this, like no one's like disputing this as like, oh, this didn't happen. It's just like, yep, this happened. They fought really hard. It finally came out. It established these things. I just, I understand the skepticism, but like it appears to me that like no one is contesting this, including Allstate. The only thing that would even indicate that is they're taking it off their website. So the links that were live in like 2009 through like 15 are no longer live. So that I have to find it through, you know, archives and links and crap, which is weird, but it still seems like it happened. Yeah, but the point I'm even trying to bring up is
hold on.
Yeah.
What happened? That's what I'm curious about. So
McKinsey was hired to consult. They did a lot of stuff. If you go through those documents, most of it's probably totally fine. It's like, hey, like here's how you save money in arson cases. Here's how you save money in this and here and administrative and blah blah blah. But a chunk of it that seemed malicious was that McKinsey said, hey, you should massively deny NIST claims because it will save you money because people will not pursue them. That is the.
So if I read this, is this going to be in this thing that claim is made? Allstate has released approximately 150,000 pages of documents pertaining to its review of its claim practices conducted in the 1990s, referred to as the McKinsey documents, in order to dispel what it says are inaccurate portrayals of its business practices. The documents, which are available at Allstate's website, have been the subject of a book written by David Berardinelli called From Good Hands.
Are you done reading, or are you just trying to stop there to show that like Allstate is contesting it?
Oh no, I was just going to read this page that you linked.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Do you can read faster than I did. Go ahead.
In the book, Berardinelli discusses how the consulting firm McKinsey. Oh, yeah. McKinsey & Co. allegedly re-engineered Allstate's claim management system, referred to as Claim Core Process Redesign, in order to unfairly maximize profits. It has been speculated that these techniques involved offering low initial settlements followed by a tougher hardball approach. If the settlement was not quickly agreed to by the policyholder, Allstate has refused judicial orders since 2004 that called for the company to release a PowerPoint presentation that contained the alleged McKinsey documents and has paid significant amounts for not doing so. In a release made public late last week, Allstate said that public criticisms by people with a vested interest in creating an inaccurate picture of the company's claim practices have been based unfairly on only snippets from the documents taken out of context. The company justified not releasing the documents in the past by saying that they contained trade secrets and proprietary information that could be used by their competition. It released the documents now for what it said is the need to address misunderstandings resulting from the growing misplaced focus by our critics on very small pieces of the whole. It also pointed to the fact that as a state-regulated company, it is subject to review by state departments of insurance, which act to police the industry. Furthermore, it referenced a recent legal case in Kentucky, Hager v. Allstate, Allstate, in which a claimant unsuccessfully sued Allstate while citing the McKinsey documents as proof that the company violated the Unfair Claims Settlement Practices Act. In the case, 60-year-old Geneva Hager claimed that the McKinsey documents proved that Allstate failed to settle a claim in good faith for alleged injuries that she sustained in a rear-end automobile accident. She claimed that Allstate handled minor impact soft tissue injury cases or missed cases in an unfair and unreasonable manner and sought $475 million for mental anguish and $950 million in punitive damages. Allstate countered by saying that its claims handling processes help prevent and find fraudulent claims. It said the processes recommended by McKinsey expedited legitimate claims for measuring how quickly adjusters contact claimants and how long it takes them to close claims. A jury trial presided over the circuit court judge Thomas Clark ruled in favor of Allstate in October 2007 after just 2 hours of deliberation. Allstate recently began implementing a new claims handling system referred to as next generation. Okay. All right. Okay. So now I'm reading this. So it sounds like those McKinsey claims, now my heuristic says they probably aren't true at all. They're probably not actually even remotely true. And it also...
So is that because, let me be good faith here, is this because, like, because reading through this specific article, I probably should have found one that was more in my favor, but this one is kind of like saying, well, McKinsey says this, or Allstate says this, and, like, obviously they're going to have, like, let's, like, don't assume, but just for the sake of this quick hypothetical, if it was true, they would have a spin on it, right? So, like, that could be their spin, or, it could be a completely legitimate reason coming out. But specifically this case, too, I mean, like I said, the reason they targeted these is not, oh, we're so evil, let's save a bunch of money. It's, hey, there is a lot of fraud on this. And specifically this case,
let's just going back to the McKinsey, not even looking at a case. So it sounds like the initial guy that wrote the article probably does have a spin, right? David Berardinelli or whatever.
From Good Hands to Boxing Gloves. Yeah, that's like essentially a sister book to Delay, Deny, Defund, which I did.
Sure. So it sounds like he has a particular angle. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong or incorrect.
But he does, 100%. Yeah.
Sure. But it sounds like he had some take on these documents. And it sounds like Allstate was ass pained that he either got a hold of them or something, or was making claims about them. So then they dumped 150,000 pages of everything publicly that was on their website that you can now look through. And it feels like if this was something that was sourced from those McKinsey documents, then why hasn't anybody just found that in the document dump and then just look, here's the evidence of what this guy was saying.
I mean, I thought you were saying that, like, maybe it's, like, not necessarily a bad claim, but if you're talking about that, where's the specific page? Oh man, like, I'd have to find that specific page. But, like, it doesn't even look like they're contesting that specifically, right?
It does. Well, that's not even brought up as a claim in here, but it sounds like that claim of, like, they are, well, first of all, you wouldn't have to find it. Literally anybody else that's looking through anything would have found it, right? And then two, it sounds like that quote or that claim of, like, oh, well, we're going to deny people things because it's too expensive to buy a lawyer. Sounds like that was conjecture from David. It doesn't sound like that's the actual recommendation from McKinsey.
Okay, maybe so. That could be the case. I could be completely misled. Like I said, I've been reading these books, but it would still seem to me that, like, the fact that they're fighting these tooth and nail, and then it comes out and it's, if it is all just innocuous, like, hey, this is kind of how we do stuff, like, why would they fight it so hard? Unless, like you said,
hold on, you keep saying, why would they fight it so hard? No business is going to dump any competitive document like that ever. Right, you know that, right? You would acknowledge that.
Most documents wouldn't dump most stuff like this, but when it's like, hey, we are accusing you of this sort of fraud, and, like, you're losing certain cases because of this sort of fraud, where it shows that you're acting in bad faith. Like, can you show us that this isn't the case? That
no, you still would never. No, you still would never do that. If somebody would accuse, that's like rule one of anything, right? If I accuse you of doing something, like, I think that you, I think that you called your mom a bitch. Are you going to leak every text message that you've ever texted on the internet to say, look, I didn't say that to anybody? No, of course not. You would never leak stuff just to leak stuff to disprove a claim. They would have to provide proof first, right?
So then your claim is that because they're the way that they try to disprove that, releasing all 150 pages, we do not see the slides, because, again, I wasn't looking for these specifically. Maybe they are there, maybe they're not, that they are trying to do this on a massive claim. Because the reason I believe it happened is only because I read it in the book, not the David one, the Feynman book, but maybe they're exaggerating. I just assumed, like, why would they lie about something so obvious? But it could be totally fabricated. I acknowledge that. I just don't think they would. That's kind of a weird thing to crux an entire chapter of your book on without proper, like, because they source them as the documents and show, like, oh, it's on this slide or this page, but that link's in the same article. So if you click, if you looked in the Kindle book, it's like, hey, the source is McKinsey documents, and it's literally like a URL. And
sure.
That URL
so we can spend like,
yeah,
so we can spend a couple minutes.
We can't click on this URL.
No, well, but then there should be an archive or something. If that, like, I would just want to see.
And there is, and I linked it.
I would just want to see. I just want to see something from those documents that demonstrates that McKinsey gave this advice. That's all I would want to see. That's a really strong claim.
Sure.
That's a really big claim. And I like any type of evidence that it came from a McKinsey document. That would be an interesting claim to see validated or verified.
So let's see if we can find this. Let's give it like 5-10 minutes, and then not longer than that because it's a lot. But let me link you it's in this thing. McKinsey. So it's this NickMailNet. I put it to you in Discord. I don't even know if this is comprehensive or complete. This is just something I found through investigating. This could be completely like fabricated. It could be not all of it, but this is the closest I could find to, hey, this seems to be what it is.
Well, sure, but this is, you said you looked through this before and we couldn't find it, so we're probably not going to find it now, right?
Right, but like I didn't look incredibly hard because I was doing all this other research. I was like, my entire argument doesn't hinge on this, and it's 100 bajillion pages because they said 150,000 pages. This is 1,200 pages, so like there might be way more. I guess if we want to, just in the interest of time, just read the affidavit from, let's see, a current employee of Allstate Insurance, Christine Sullivan. That's the first link, I believe, and it's only 7 pages. And this is what she is alleging is in the rest of the documents.
Wait. First link of what on that website you sent me?
Here, let me just link you the direct PDF to the one I'm looking at.
Oh, no, that's fine. In this one. Okay. This very first link, this affidavit. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, just before we even like spend too much time with it, like, cause I know you got into the whole January 6th stuff, all the fucking Giuliani, like, oh, I have sworn affidavits. Like, but technically this doesn't prove anything, right? This is just,
it's a sworn affidavit of an employee. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, of lawful agent being first duly sworn upon my oath, depose and say the following. I'm currently employed by Allstate Insurance Company as an assistant vice president in the Property Casualty Claim Service Organization of Allstate. A top to bottom review of Allstate's automobile bodily injury claim handling practice and procedures. Okay. McKinsey and Company. Okay. Disclaimer fully below. Allstate and its consulting thereafter worked to redesign those process procedures. The redesigned process procedures were then tested in certain markets beginning in 95. Certain redesigned claim handling process and procedures were implemented nationwide as claim core process redesign, utilizing Allstate still uses as of the date of this affidavit. Most of the claim handling, okay. Significance and confidentiality of the CCPR development process. Reports analyzing that existing.
You can popcorn to me at any point if you get tired.
Yeah, it's only, you said 7 pages. So, okay. To the extent that Allstate retained copies of documents that were generated by it and or McKinsey, they represent a set of approximately 12,929 pages of documents. This is the set of the documents to the extent they still exist, while the final reports and their presentation made by this team. After the presentation, it's not. Findings the internal fact-finding review, including reviews of close files, documents describe the extensive research analysis. Do you know particularly on like what page I'm looking for on this, or do you want me to skip reading?
No, that's why I'm scrolling a little ahead of you. So if you want to also scroll ahead and find the specific thing I'm looking for, give me a sec here. Okay, so I do have obviously they implemented this, or at least the claim is that they did, but let me find the missed stuff. So it says right here on point 14, that's on page 4, in the 5th phase, beginning in early July 1995 through December 1995, Allstate progressively implemented the first 4 categories of CCPR, that's the name of the system, claim handling process changes nationwide. So that's just, hey, they did do what McKinsey advised. So, but let me make sure that this is specifically talking about the missed stuff. Mm-hmm.
I will say that in this affidavit, these documents contain a wealth of proprietary ideas and information of significant value to Allstate. So it also makes sense why they wouldn't release these all publicly.
Yeah,
seems like
that's fair.
Sure.
Again, that's like the conspiracy brain that I'll admit, where it's like, all right, why are you fighting so hard to release this? It's like, well, even if it was not malicious, that's they just do that. So this is if I just say missed. Oh, whiplash, minor impact. Yeah, so this doesn't even mention missed, which is not going to be in here probably. Maybe it's not there. At the very least, they implemented it. I would be interested because, again, I can't find this, but interested to see why so many books and all these courts like to claim that, like, hey, you did this specific practice. Like, part of the CCPR is massive denial of missed claims.
No, stop saying that. Wait, when you say massive denial of missed claims, you're loading that normatively a ton. What does that actually mean? Do we even know the denial rates of missed claims?
So the claim is try to fight literally every single one of these, as per the book. I don't know if that's true, right? So that's why I'm trying to look and see if that. So if both books lied about it and the courts are saying like, yeah, we add that one case where it's like, okay, this is clearly a bad faith
just to be
denial,
clear, also, since I got that email, now I have like a better understanding. Missed claims are literally things that you have absolutely no evidence for.
No. So you can. Some of them are harder to prove. It's a big spectrum, right? So some of them it's like, hey, this doesn't show up in an X-ray. This doesn't show up in a.
Well, it sounds. Hold on, wait.
Et cetera.
Wait. It sounds definitionally like none of these would show up on any scan. That's why it's called a minor injury soft tissue thing, right? Like if it was the case that it showed up somewhere, it would be either a fracture or a contusion or a lesion or something, right? It sounds like
Maybe.
definitionally none of them will show up on any scans ever.
What
right?
I had read in the book, which again could be lying, but missed minor impact soft tissue, that it's a range, and some of them are undetectable, which makes sense as to why they would target these, but it's not always the case. Let me see. Oops, I should do this in the window I am streaming in. Whiplash. Yeah, no, so okay. Whiplash, sprain, bruise, contusion, or any other injury that can qualify as a missed, it seems. Wait, no. It's one that involves a car accident that generates minor vehicle property damage due to its slow impact speed and results in soft tissue injuries rather than broken bones or worse. It is likely your car did not suffer damage, and therefore it can be difficult to prove that you were physically injured. But that does not mean you should not bring a claim to court. This is not helpful because this is for telling people how to fight it in court and not how to show that it is actually impactful. Symptoms? Diagnosis. Whiplash diagnosis. Not even the name.
Here's a question, not to sound conspiratorial, but is this even a real thing?
Minor impact soft tissue?
Yeah. Like, is whiplash, is that a real injury? Is that a real thing, or is this like
sort of no? Like that's like the kind of the point is like it's kind of a misnomer that they say this in the book. It's like a misnomer where like everyone just says, "Oh, I have whiplash because my neck hurts," right? But like it's a range of things that it could be. That it's not like I don't think whiplash is a medical diagnosis, right? It's hey, like there's a whole category of shits that could happen to your neck.
Okay,
right?
Wait. So then if I go back and assuming everything said so far is true, I don't even know if this is the case, but then it would make sense that you would literally deny every single one of these things, at least to start, because it sounds like it sounds like I could call my car insurance company and say, hey, I got in an accident, there's no damage, but like I have severe whiplash, I need you to cover me, but there's no scans I can show.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So denying all of them, right? Okay, but the problem is, it's not about just denying them. It's also about like playing hardball, right? So first of all, people that are coming to these people, to the insurers with, hey, here's my doctor notes, here's my like scan that says this part is hurt, are being denied, right? And like there are specific delay cases, like so delay, deny, defund, like they segment them into these three. A delay case is, hey, I'm going to try to prolong this in bad faith, like the specific one I showed you. I don't know if this is the crackle
but this
one,
is all still like hypothetical. Like
no, this case is like the court alleges and the jury determines you are being bad faith. You know this person deserves a payout and you are saying no. Now, that does not establish that this is company-wide practice. I agree. But the point is, this is clearly happening. This is
but that bad faith wasn't an allegation that their like claims process is bad faith. It said that it didn't seem like they were negotiating a good faith during the settlement phase of this. So they'd already lost a court case and they were in the process of settling this. This isn't just like paying out a claim.
Let me find specifically the one on the Kindle that is requesting the denial. So they already have the documents because I remember the chapter and I wrote it down specifically, but you can't control F written notes. What a stupid fucking invention. Tell me when I lose you because I don't want to be looking at this too long.
Sure.
Thanks for taking the time, by the way. If I haven't already established that I am very much trying to do this reasonably, I hope I have by now. Moral hazards, cycles. Oh, you kind of mentioned this before the debate, but just because I'm scrolling past it, it's worth bringing up. So apparently, I don't know if this is still the case, but there's these kind of 4 to 6 year cycles of insurance soft and hard markets where they're trying to get as many people into the, increase their market share, reducing premiums, reducing underwriting standards, getting all those people in, and then realizing, okay, now we need more money, and started playing hardball, making more of a profit, charging more, increasing premiums. And the reason I bring that up is because there's these huge shocks in the market where people who are already in the system are now experiencing these much, much, much greater premiums, and then it goes back down, and it's just kind of this weird 4 to 6 year like non-intuitive, you wouldn't say like free market cycle, but like I said, it's not a free market, but just thought I'd bring it up. It's not trying to prove anything. Here's the FERCnet. Deny. See, if I control F, deny, it is 100% not going to find it. If it's not in chapter 5, then I don't know where it is. How about this? I don't want to completely move off of this McKinsey point, but there are a couple incentive structures that are different and potentially something that might convince you if we want to look at those real quick.
Sure. Wait, just give me like 1 minute. Hold on. I'm just reading something.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay. I'm getting stronger opinions on this now as I read more. Okay. I don't think that MIS is real. I think this is
about
actually
the black pill mule.
No, I think that this is like a chronic Lyme disease type thing. I don't think that minor impact.
Is chronic Lyme disease not real?
No.
My dad had Lyme.
Okay. That's another.
No, I'm serious. Like, is it?
Lyme disease is a real thing, but like people who say they have chronic Lyme disease, it's not a real thing. You get
what's the difference?
Chronic Lyme disease is just a catch-all for some sort of like chronic fatigue stuff that is not like recognized as any like real medical diagnosis. People will usually say they were bit by a tick at some time and now they've got chronic Lyme disease for the rest of their life, but that's just not like a recognized medical thing ever. You can have untreated Lyme disease or some long-term things related to like an untreated Lyme disease infection, but like chronic Lyme disease, every single time that's brought up, that's like it's not a real thing.
Okay, gotcha. Because my dad never called it chronic, so I mean, I'm assuming he's not
you can
lying.
have
I
Lyme
saw
disease
him get
for sure,
and all that shit, but yeah, okay, just checking. Cool.
Yeah,
But, okay, so MIST is not real.
So I feel like these minor soft tissue things, I don't think that these are like real injuries. So I understand why they would probably fight on these. It sounds like somebody gets in an accident, then they think more about their neck, and then a few months later, like, man, I think I had whiplash from an accident. It still hurts or whatever. And then they're like, yeah, it sounds like I don't even, because I'm looking through like a review basically of like the medical literature on minor impact soft tissue things. It seems like when it was very first hypothesized that there might have been like evidence for this, but now it feels like the current literature basically just says that this is a review I think from 2005, so maybe it's changed, but it sounds like it's just saying that like these are just like psychosocial things. Like people get in an accident, they think that like they've got pain in their body.
Some of them are probably. I wouldn't even doubt that. Maybe majority of them. But my question is then, like, let's accept. All right, then it makes sense to deny all of these outright and then fight. In any of these cases where it's their policy to, again, this is loaded, this might not be true, but if it was their policy that hey, let's fight these no matter what, even if it seems like we should pay them out, just because as a whole, this is making us money, would that be what you needed to see?
Well, I don't even know. Do they pay out? My guess is they probably don't pay those out. They probably pay out for injuries.
You don't think they pay out like any MIST
I don't think they pay out for like, I have a headache after my car accident. My guess is they probably...
No, but that's not all MIST is, right? Like I said, it seems to be described as a kind of this nebulous range of like, yeah, this could be something where you just have a headache. It could be like, hey, my neck snapped back and forth and there's like a little tiny like something pulled or ripped in there, and if I don't get treated for this, it's gonna cause something later.
Yeah,
right?
pull or rip, but there would be like evidence of that injury. It wouldn't be called a MIST thing then.
Exactly. There would be evidence, and so it seems in some of these cases, doctors will bring these cases, doctors will provide the evidence that this injury happened. They'll bring them to the company, and the company said no, deny it anyway, or fight it anyway, or try to play hardball because we know those people are going to not have the money to pay for $50K lawyer so they can win a $3,000 payout.
I would have to see that happening. But
okay, then I really want to find this case. I know it exists. Then give me a couple seconds.
Okay.
Or, well, maybe a minute or two. Let me find this chapter. IST whiplash. Go hardball litigation. Give me your anecdotes. This book's full of anecdotes that I didn't write down.
Seems like there's a distinction between chronic Lyme and post-treatment Lyme. One is real. Yeah, you can have Lyme disease, and I think some Lyme disease can even cause some lasting impacts, especially if you like don't treat it. But like there's a thing called like chronic Lyme disease. This has, and a lot of people use this. This has nothing to do. This is not a real thing. I don't think this is medically recognized at all. All of the symptoms are usually like, oh, like I have fatigue or like muscle pain or I'm tired or I have like something wrong with whatever. It's usually it's all vague stuff, and this is not seen as like
settle for X,
like a real.
When someone in my chat is saying this is actually a term made up by insurance companies, which would be interesting if that's like kind of how they categorize them. But it's in chapter. Okay.
What about long COVID? Long COVID is just my current understanding. Be careful.
By the way, I will fully concede the way that this book talks about those missed claims does not include what your emailer had said to you, which in my understanding is true, that there are a lot of fraud cases from this.
Yeah, sure, I'm sure. My understanding is that long COVID is basically just this, like chronic fatigue syndrome, that for some really unfortunate reason, after people get viral infections, some people just seem to be like tired and like mind fucked for sometimes a week, sometimes for the rest of their life after certain viral infections. And I think long COVID is basically this chronic fatigue syndrome. They called it long COVID because people weren't aware of what it was, but this is I believe like what long COVID is. Basically, chronic fatigue syndrome.
I'll read this to you if this link goes anywhere. Otherwise, you're just going to have to take my word from it because it's in a book. But
my understanding is basically that anything that is called syndrome is usually just a collection of symptoms, and we don't really know what causes it. Syndromes are just like things. So like when you say like IBS, like irritable bowel syndrome, I don't believe that's like a disease. That's just like you've got issues with your bowels, but we don't know what that actually is or what's causing it.
It's just like Grace Hess before. This seems like a name that has come up.
Okay, wait, what am I looking at?
Grace Hess. Here, I'm going to... Do you have a Kindle?
No, I don't.
Okay, take my word for this. You can fact check it later. I promise you I'm not just making this up because I'm not this creative. Mm-hmm. This is a quote from the book. It's from the source at the end says affidavit from Grace Hess. I don't remember where I'd find that because it's...
Okay, wait, hold on, 1 second. Hold on, give me 3 seconds, 1 second. Would you believe that it's only mental? No, I don't mean to give that impression. If I have, it's incorrect. Chronic fatigue syndrome, this is not just a mental thing. This is you're actually like super fucked and super like this is not just like you're thinking you're tired or whatever. Chronic fatigue syndrome is a real thing where people are bedridden for sometimes months or years at a time. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Cool. So this is from Grace Hess in the book. This is page 119, just stating this for the VOD in case anyone wants to accuse me of lying. It's in the book, Delay, Deny, Defend by Feynman. Okay, so this is page 119. Allstate has not been alone in the new approach to missed claims. Grace Hess, a former senior claims adjuster to State Farm, acknowledged that a similar missed policy permeated the State Farm claims process. She was specifically told by supervisors. He stated that the company was going to start forcing soft tissue cases through arbitration and trial for the purpose of sending a message to claimants, their attorneys, and the public in general that it is simply not profitable to pursue a soft tissue case when State Farm is the insurer. This policy was applicable both to third-party bodily injury claims and claims made by State Farm's insureds, the folks to whom State Farm had promised to be a good neighbor. So what I'm getting from that is, from insider testimony, which again may not be true, they are doing this because they know that they can establish, hey, just don't even apply any of these, even if some of them may be paid out. Now, unless your claim is none of these should be paid out, then I think this kind of establishes like, yeah, like this is a widespread practice within multiple industry big guys, right?
To be clear, so that sounded like that was his conjecture based on something that he read from her. That doesn't sound like there were no quotes
the
there
author. No, this is a quote from the affidavit. Sorry, so he stated, quote, the company was going to do this to send a message, unquote. So that's from the affidavit from. I want to know what court case this is. Unfortunately, it does not say. But yeah, I mean that could be taken out of context. But do we think, again, this is where I'm starting to lean like, okay, I get the skepticism, but like how many more of these are like enough to be like, okay, this seems even a little bit like, really, like this seems kind of bad.
Well, hold
right?
on.
Even
So
if it's
just
not
to be
proven.
clear, like I will admit that I've come into this like not knowing too many of these details. Like the more and more I learn, the more firm I feel on the alternative ground that whatever book you're citing is like a Finkelstein tier book of like horrible
no.
misquote. Like the fact that so much of this is even built on Myst, which like when I heard about this before, I didn't even know that Whiplash. I didn't really think much about it. But now it makes more sense. These are just like fake. These are not real things, right? So the idea that we're basing so much of this around car insurance companies fighting these impossible to prove soft tissue claims is making me feel like more firm that these are probably not real injuries. There's probably a really high amount of fraud here, and I don't even know if I care that much that car insurance companies are figuring out ways to fight against them. So I don't feel like you're building up more evidence on the other side. Everything that I've tried to chase down or look at seems to be either misquoted, miscited, or is conjecture that's based on nothing that can be actually found, is what it feels like.
What would you need to see to make you think what I think? Because the reason I think what I think is like it appears, unless this again, I'm taking this book on its face value. So if this book is, like you said, Finkelstein tier, I don't know if he's a bad author or whatever. I've heard things. Then maybe this is just a misrepresentation, and that would be like my concession in the argument. Like, oh, maybe this whole Myst thing is completely bullshit. Maybe it's all just misinformation. But
do you agree that it hurts that like it's centering around one thing that's like the weakest of all the things to defend? Because like if we were talking about like wrongful death in terms of like car accidents or like fractures or other like big medical things related to it, these would be much more solid grounds to build like malpractice accusations on.
Yeah, but that's the thing is I think those are more explicit, egregious, illegal things that do immediately get called out. And this book is targeting the things that we kind of accept as status quo, right? Like it's like, hey, this doesn't seem like it's that big a deal. Here's why it is. Those other things you mentioned, like, yeah, obviously, of course, it just doesn't seem like that's the widespread practice.
Well, yeah,
of
real
these
quick, what's the
industries.
name of this book again?
Delay, deny, defend, why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it. The only reason I've read this, by the way, is because the shooter brought it up in his manifesto, as well as the Blumenthal. I think he mentioned Senator Blumenthal's investigation. So actually, that might have been part of it. And then,
Okay. Give me
yeah,
1
you're
second.
gonna get it on Kindle,
Yeah, fuck it.
or are you gonna see if there's like a major like debunking of it? Because I didn't look for
No,
one.
what is the okay? What page is this?
Which thing?
The quote that you
I
read
just
me
brought
before.
up? Yes, that is page. I hope this is the same version you have. 119.
Okay. What paragraph did you start from?
The first word is Allstate. It's with the citation 128, but this goes on before this for quite a while. I think this whole chapter is on McKinsey Myst claims.
Okay. I'm just going to read a little bit. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Where are you reading?
One of the largest and surely the most controversial segment of auto claims in which denial and aggressive defense are the keys to increasing profits is minor impact soft tissue claims. While some accidents cause catastrophic injuries like those suffered by Janet Jones, there are many more crashes at low speeds in which the damage to the vehicle is small and the victim's injury involves something other than broken bones, large lacerations, or similarly obvious harm. Missed injuries or connective tissue injuries or ligamentish
Yeah, I couldn't read
injuries
that one either when I was there.
or whiplash injuries, there is no neutral term, have a long and colorful history both as a medical disorder and as an insurance issue. Their ancestor was railway spine. Real quick, I'm just curious what the 124 footnote is here.
I believe, I clicked on this before. I'm pretty sure this is like showing how this has been a potentially option for fraud as like far back as like the 1800s or something like that.
Sure. Okay.
Like, look,
Just real quick. So the citation is to a book called Accidentally on Purpose, The Making of a Personal Injury Underworld in America by Ken Dornstein. So I was just curious if he was like citing to like some medical review literature there or something, but it sounds like it's for another insurance book. Okay.
Like a historical insurance book. Yeah.
Sure. Their ancestor was railway spine, a syndrome first diagnosed in the 1860s. Charles Dickens reported his own typical experience following a train crash in Kent, England. Immediately after the crash, he was shaken and his hand unsteady. But days later, his ailment grew worse, not better. I am curiously weak. I begin to feel it more in my head. I sleep and eat well, but I write half a dozen notes and turn faint and sick. Doctors, lawyers, and railroad executives debated whether railway spine was a physical disorder, a psychosomatic response, or simply legalized depredations on the treasuries of railway corporations and a nice harvest to shyster lawyers and conscienceless physicians. Whiplash was identified and first named in the 1920s to describe injuries to airplane pilots and then to victims of traffic accidents. For decades, there was a lack of scientific agreement on how the injuries occurred. Did an impact cause the head to snap back and forward, or forward then back? Today, the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke of the National Institute of Health reflects the consensus that it is the former. Okay.
So this book was written in 2009. So it seems that whiplash as a classification is not a completely fake thing. It's recognized as a category of injury by at least, God, what is that, 16 years ago? But, this could have changed since then.
Sure. Let's find out.
We could look this place up right now, actually. Yeah. National Institute of Neurological Disorders.
What is the National Institute of Neurological Disorders?
Neurological disorders
and stroke. I see. Okay.
Oh, wait, is it just the NIH?
Is it like a subsection of the NIH? Okay, I don't know.
That's what I'm looking for. Because it's on the NIH website, whiplash.
Okay, this is from 2007. I'm just reading a study to identify some of the most current data pertaining to the diagnosis and treatment of whiplash and related disorders, to report on relational search of articles under 186. Conclusions. Whiplash is a common injury associated most often with motor vehicle accidents. It may present with a variety of clinical manifestations, collectively termed WAD. Whiplash is an important cause of chronic disability. Many controversies exist regarding the diagnosis and treatment of whiplash injuries. The multifactorial etiology believed to underlie whiplash injuries makes management highly variable between patients. Radiographic evidence of injury often cannot be identified in the acute phase. Recent studies suggest early mobilization may lead to improved outcomes. Ligamentous and bony injuries may go undetected at initial presentation, leading to delayed diagnosis and inappropriate therapies. I wonder if there's any more recent research on what these are, or if...
Yeah, we could look more into it, but like the collective thing that we kind of talked about seems to be the case, which is a lot of it could be bullshit. I'm sure there are a lot of fraudulent whiplash claims, especially because it's hard to prove. But at the same time, the claim in this book is because it's hard to prove, it's easier to play hardball because you can't have as much evidence for it, and it costs too much to push back on it when the claims themselves being paid out are kind of small.
Sure, but I'm curious what the evidence for the hardball is. Okay, hold on, wait. Where was I at? Whiplash was identified in first name.
Again, I would say the hardball claim would be the testimony on. I mean, if you have the book open now, if you just go 2 pages more to the
Yeah, I know. I understand. I'm just reading up to it so I can understand the context.
Sorry.
Yes, okay. Claims involving soft tissue injuries have been long a target of the insurance industry. The Defense Research Institute, the subscribed voice of the defense bar, mounted the attack in its 1960 publication, The Revolt Against Whiplash, a collection of scientific articles, discounted the likelihood or significance of such injuries, and condemnatory articles by defense lawyers and insurance executives. DRI distributed the volume to more than 11,000 judges, public officials, and lawyers, and followed up 4 years of successive volume. Next paragraph, the attack on soft tissue claims notwithstanding, it became systematic with the redesign of its claims process in the 1990s. Misclaims were recognized as a fruitful segment in which new company strategies could produce large profits. The injuries can be serious but not catastrophic, so the amount at stake at any individual claim is relatively small, but there are many such claims precisely because the amounts are relatively small. Changing the game can have a significant impact on claimant's behavior. The approach is a clear violation of the company's obligation. A Pennsylvania court explained that a claim must be evaluated on its merits alone, and the court specifically condemned using an individual claim to send a message to other claimants. So do you think that if I go to this footnote 127, do you think this is involving a missed claim, or do you think that this is an unrelated thing?
Let's see. I don't remember this one in my research. Can you click on it? Mine is being stupid.
Yeah, so this is Bonenberger versus Nationwide.
Oh, yes. I have this one in my Black Pilston thing. Let's control F Bonenberger. I remember it because it's so stupid. All right, so this is a quote from the link, but if you just control F Bonenberger in the Black Pilstony document, you can have the link to the actual case. The court noted that Nationwide failed to conduct an independent medical exam and that its representatives were guided by the terms of its Pennsylvania Best Claims Practices Manual, which contains the company's overall philosophy. The court characterized this philosophy as, quote, encouraging unethical and unprofessional practices, unquote. This decision did not stop the widespread use of, this is me saying this. This decision did not stop the widespread use of these best claims practices. It just called out this specific case. The unethical and unprofessional practices were not isolated cases, but established as best claims practices manual from this company itself. So this is part of my...
Wait. Where are you reading this from?
Control F, Bonenberger, Bonenberger.
Oh, okay, hold on.
It's highlighted in blue. There you go. Got it. So I actually did look at this one.
Communication bad faith and the handling of the UIM claim. What does UIM stand for?
Uninsured motorist.
Uninsured motorist benefits. Okay, this is an appeal from a judgment entered against appellant. Okay, and in favor of the insured. We affirm, okay, Bono suffered physical injuries in an automobile accident and recover the limits to the tortfeasor's policy, $15,000. Thereafter, Bono sought to collect underinsured motorist benefits from his carrier Nationwide. In connection with this claim, Bonenberger sent Nationwide all pertinent medical records, bills, wigs, loss documentation, and a... What? What?
What part are you on? Sorry.
Oh, I'm reading number 2, opinion by Del Soli, PJ. I don't know what the fuck this is. I'm on, it says
okay, gotcha.
paragraph 2, I think.
Yeah.
He sent him all the records and a detailed final report of his hand surgeon, Dr. Baratz, along with a settlement demand of $52,968. In response, Nationwide requested that Bonenberger undergo an independent medical exam to which he consented. However, an exam was never scheduled, and Nationwide made a settlement offer of $7,400, which Bonenberger rejected months later after Bonenberger supplied Nationwide with his sworn statement and authorization to obtain his workers' comp files and medical records. And after receipt of Dr. Baratz's
This is the one I was looking for. Sweet.
deposition testimony, Nationwide made an offer of $10,400. A final offer of $14,700 later made but rejected. Before the matter proceeded to a hearing before a board of arbitrators. They entered a unanimous total tort damage award for Bonenberger in the amount of $77,000 and a $2,500 award for his wife and her loss of concern of claim. And then he later filed an action against Nationwide, claiming it engaged in bad faith in the handling of his UIM claim and in failing to adequately evaluate his injuries at the time of the claim. Following a non-jury trial, the court concluded that Nationwide's representatives had no reasonable basis for their evaluation of the 380-something claim and were not properly informed on the extent of Bonenberger's injuries. The court noted that Nationwide failed to conduct an independent medical exam, that its representatives were guided by the terms of its Pennsylvania Best Claims Practices Manual, which contains the company's overall philosophy. The court characterized this philosophy as encouraging unethical and unprofessional practices, finding of fact 56. In conclusion, the trial court ruled that Nationwide had not attempted in good faith to effectuate a prompt, fair, and equitable settlement of Bonenberger's claim, despite its clear liability under the policy, and this compelled Bonenberger to institute litigation to recover the amount due under his policy. Is this Best Claims Practices Manual?
Yep.
Is this a Pennsylvania state thing, or is this the manual of the actual company Nationwide?
Let's see. I believe it was used at least by the company in statewide practice.
I think this is the company's manual itself, is my guess, but okay.
Yes. Where did you find that?
I'm just reading through the court ruling.
I'll look it up while you're looking at it.
Nationwide did not attempt in good faith to effectuate a prompt, fair, and equitable settlement of Bonenberger's claim, despite its clear liability under the policy, and this compelled Bonenberger to institute litigation. Was awarded punitive damages in the amount of $275K, attorney's fees in the amount of $89.2K and $14.7K in costs. Following the filing of post-trial motions and the entry of judgment, this appeal was taken. Okay, it looks like Nationwide fucked up really hard here, just reading on the first thing, and then the fact that he was awarded punitive damages. So these are non-compensatory secondary damages because the other side fucked up really hard, were awarded as well. Just from the reading here of what the appeal, it sounds like Nationwide was trying to fuck this guy over. Sure. Okay.
Right, but the only reason I even brought this case was because...
Well, hold on, wait. The reason why I brought this up is because I see that he cited this here, but this doesn't sound like this was not a soft tissue case. It sounds like this guy's hand actually did get fucked up. He did go to a hospital. He did have to get like surgery or some type of medical treatment. He had a bill for it, like I'm guessing because he's citing his hand surgeon here, and Nationwide was trying to fuck him over, but this had nothing to do with I don't like the fact...
Even if it's not missed, it's like the point of, I mean, I didn't have this in the missed section. The reason I brought this up was because this is in the this is not uncommon section, because the court says, hey, look, this manual that you're using to tell everyone how to do things is unethical. Like, you are doing this because of what this manual is laying out, which I can't find yet. But like, the whole point of this is, hey, this is not just this case is fucked, because you admit this case is fucked, but it looks like, hey, you're kind of doing this on a more widespread basis. At least that's what the court says. And then also they don't do anything about it.
Yeah, I would have to see, I guess, what the manual was recommending here, if they made changes to it after, or what happened after that. I guess I'm curious, but I'm just looking insofar as the book. It's just irritating. I would say that it's not the best citation to cite to this case when it's talking about these missed things, because it makes it sound like that fair. Case had to do with missed things when it doesn't.
But well, does it not have to do with them? Is it like obviously it's the hand thing, but like, is it is the book claiming that this is a missed hand case, or like I don't even know. Again, missed might not even have been a thing that they used to define it here.
Well, so the paragraph that this is found in was the attack on soft tissue claims was long-standing, but it became systematic with the redesign of claims processing in the 1990s. Missed claims were recognized as a fruitful segment in which new company strategies could produce large profits. The injuries can be serious but not catastrophic, so the amount at stake in any individual claim is relatively small, but there are many such claims, and precisely because the amounts are relatively small, changing the game can have a significant effect on claimant's behavior. The approach is a clear violation of the company's obligation. A Pennsylvania court explained that, quote, a claim must be evaluated on its merits alone, end quote, and the court specifically condemned using an individual claim to, quote, send a message, end quote, to other claimants. I mean, I feel like including it in this section makes it sound like this is related to missed claims when it's not.
If it's soft tissue, but it is, I guess it's not. Did you say it was a fracture of the hand?
Well, whatever it was, it sounds like he had literal surgery for it because he's quoting a surgeon here on. Like, and it sounded like
whiplash can involve surgery on the neck. It depends on how intense it is. Like
I feel like that's not true. I feel like if it's gonna be, if you need surgery, I feel like you're gonna be like it's to repair like a fracture or a herniation or some sort of thing that won't be called whiplash. There'll be a name given to whatever happened.
Let's see. Does whiplash? If you're gonna continue to the paragraph I was on, I'm just gonna really quickly look up if that's true. It might be not true. I thought I read it somewhere.
Like they wouldn't say like the patient has whiplash. They'd say like the C2 and C3 vertebrae, or there would be like a
right. The whiplash is not like the technical medical term. Surgery. According to clevelandclinic.org, medications or treatments for whiplash can range from treatments, immobilization, medications, cold application, exercise, physical therapy. So like I said, a huge fucking range of stuff. Transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation, TENS, radiofrequency nerve ablation, or spine surgery. So unless this is some bullshit fucking med MD thing, like apparently a whiplash can cause you to have surgery. It's probably not the majority or even close to like a majority of these cases, but it can happen if it's like a major whiplash. That's what I was trying to establish. This is like
wait, can you link me exactly what you're reading?
Yeah, I mean, this is just the first fucking thing I Googled. It could be wrong, but let me look elsewhere as well while you do that. If you scroll down to treatments. Yeah, and also the second one I clicked on, Health Central, says surgery is rarely required for whiplash, but it is possible. It's appropriate in severe cases if you have persistent neck or shoulder pain. This is Health Central. Also could be bullshit. I don't look at random Google links to diagnose myself, but could be. Mayo Clinic, I know that one. Let's see, does this say surgery? No surgery on Mayo Clinic. And it also says, this might be relevant, whiplash does not show on imaging tests, but imaging tests can rule out the other conditions. So it helps you narrow it down to whiplash. So if you get like an MRI, CT scan, X-ray, and it's like, oh, it's not any of these, I don't know, contusions, abrasions, blah, 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 blah. Oh, maybe you have whiplash. Yeah.
Hold on. I have to solve a puzzle to prove I'm not a bot. Okay.
I had the same thing, yeah. But I am a bot, so I don't know why it let me through.
Wait, you sent me the surgery for whiplash thing?
The second to last one is whiplash neck strain. So that's the Cleveland Clinic. It says that surgery could be a treatment for it. The Health Central link, which is the puzzle one, I believe.
Yeah. So like I'm saying, so like this is what I think that like surgery. So a ruptured or herniated disc would be a thing you would need surgery for. Spinal stenosis, I guess. But like these are things where you wouldn't go to your insurance company and say like, hey, I had whiplash. You would say like, hey, I have a ruptured or herniated disc, or I have like these types of.
Okay, so the claim is then like if they were mass denying a lot of these minor issue soft impact or soft tissue damage, minor impact soft tissue cases, they would be doing so, and one that required surgery would not be even in that category. It would be so far off.
This is what it sounds like. There's a weak claim being made to strongly support or to subtly support a strong claim, and the weak claim is like like they have issues with missed, but like the implication is that they're denying people surgeries for like herniated discs. But like, I don't even know if a company would call that like a missed thing. They would say you got a herniated disc.
Well, this is where I would kind of combine it with the system that's telling them how they should diagnose these things, where it's like, hey, like this person says my neck really hurts and they were in a minor case where their vehicle wasn't impacted. So the algorithm that we've applied says, deny this claim. It's probably bullshit. But that could be something that in 3 months, when it doesn't go away, turns into a long-standing, hey, this still fucking hurts. Hey, maybe my disc is herniated or something case. Like this, does that sound plausible at all?
Maybe, but is this a thing? Would I want it to go another way? Like, should that be
Sorry,
different? Like, if you
should it be any other way?
Like, if you go to a company, you say like, "Hey, my neck has been hurting. I need like chronic pain management and chronic and I need like multiple surgeries."
Yeah. Like if they overclaim stuff, should it be that way? I get what you're saying. So yeah, no, obviously not. But I would say if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, "Hey, like, yeah, this looks like it can turn into something worse. I'm requesting this," and you still get denied, which is at least the case in that I think the Bonenberg one. Like, yeah, that shouldn't be the case. And the implication of the book, unless it's lying.
No, hold on, wait, we're complaining so much. The Bonenberg thing has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. That had to do with an actual
hand or whatever,
that was a serious actual injury, and it sounds like Nationwide was trying to fuck him over on that thing there, and they got, not only did they lose that case, they got punitive damages against him as well. It sounded like, but that was not a miss thing at all.
Yeah, that would be then in the worst case that the book is kind of putting this out of context in something to imply that it's a whiplash case when it's not. But should we read further in that then?
Well, I'm just saying it sounds like these cases seem weak at best. I don't even know if this is a real phenomenon at most, but okay. But okay, what was the, sorry, okay. So we got through the miss thing. Okay. What part are we at now?
Do you still have it open, or do we want to, because I think the two other things that were really, really big to me, let's just scroll up, because if you're in the Bonenberg Black Pilseny document, the two big things to me, this is
top of the document now.
Go to Control F Bonenberg and then just scroll up just half a little page.
Control F Bonenberger. Okay.
And do you see incentive structures? It's both green and blue because it's kind of testimony, kind of. Yeah, okay. So this is kind of talking about how there are profit incentives for adjusters in the system. So this is, again, talked about in DDD. I don't know if we want to claim that this is now not reliable thanks to that source, but at the very least, I read it. So adjusters are discouraged from reevaluating denials. So this is a quote. The reason adjusters were so reluctant to run a second Colossus evaluation, that's the computer system, when there was new information was because adjusters' performance evaluations would go down and their chances for raises and advancements would suffer. So what that quote is telling me is that as an adjuster, you're incentivized not to reevaluate a claim that may or may not now be proven to be worth paying out on, because if it is, you might not get the same profit as you would from saving the company money.
Okay, hold on, wait. One thing at a time. Mm-hmm. It sounds to me like that's just saying that if you have to reevaluate your claim over and over again, you're going to be hit with a performance penalty, which should obviously be true. No? Or am I misunderstanding that?
Why? Well, maybe that's the claim, but like, why should that be true? Like, if
what do you mean? Because you pay somebody, because you pay some. Wait. Hold on. What page are you at?
This is in the book it's page 146, but I'm reading it from the document. But let's go to the book. 146. This is. It's after if you control F.
The reason the adjusters were so reluctant to run a second Colossus evaluation when there was new information was because adjusters' performance evaluations would go down and their chances for raises and advancement would suffer. Okay, so if new information is released, they probably should do another evaluation. That's fair. I imagine they should. Okay, then before this is adjusted farmers insurance were required to have supervisor approval to settle a claim above the Colossus range. Linda Brown quit Allstate over its use of Colossus EAs as hard and fast figures after its first few months of use in Allstate to override the EA and offer a higher amount to an injured party. An adjuster needed permission from a claim manager 90% of the time. The approval would not be given. Jeffrey Mangoni, I don't know, an AMCO adjuster, testified that he had no authority to settle a claim outside the Colossus EA range.
Italian people, man.
The restrictions on adjusters' authority to exceed the EA amount can be reinforced by monitoring, reporting, and incentive programs. Shannon Brady K. Matz, formerly an Allstate adjuster in New Mexico, revealed the extent to which settlements tracked the EA were tracked by individual adjuster, specialized unit, and office, and good results were praised and rewarded. Adjusters were trained that the EA was etched in stone. Maureen Reed confirmed the practice elsewhere at Allstate. The reason the adjusters were so reluctant to run a second Colossus evaluation when there was new information was because adjuster performance evaluation would go down and their chances for raises and advancement would suffer. Farmers was the subject of a class action suit concerning its improper use of Colossus in government investigations for tying employee incentives to claim reductions. It ostensibly stopped using adherence to the Colossus EA in individual performance reviews, but the message did not always make it down the management chain to claim managers. What was the result of that lawsuit? Settlements outside for the 15 California claims. That was a widespread problems. Okay. It said farmers were subject to the class action suit concerning its improper use of Colossus.
This is 153.
I think so. Yeah.
Let me click on that one. Book is being very difficult.
Farmers does that mean State Farm or
Farmers?
Farmers Insurance.
Yeah.
Farmers Insurance.
Farmers Insurance Exchange Claims Representatives Overtime Pay Litigation. Let me see if I can find it faster. No, this is a bunch of them.
$15 million settlement, and TZ successfully represented plaintiffs in the class action and mid. Okay, alleging violations within the use of price optimization.
You want to me on Discord real quick so I can open it at the same time?
Sure. Hold on.
Thank you, sir.
Is Farmers Insurance, is this a health insurance company, or is this for other types of insurance?
I believe that is car insurance.
Okay.
Violations. Oh, home, auto, and life. No, excuse me.
Okay. These things. Group's likelihood to accept higher rates, which plaintiffs argued contravened the standards set by California's unfair competition law and California Insurance Code. Additionally, the actions claimed this constituted unjust enrichment on the part of Farmers Insurance, essentially arguing that these pricing strategies unfairly capitalize on customer loyalty and will pay more to the insurer's undue benefit. Settlement aims to compensate policyholders who have demonstrated loyalty with 9 or more years of tenure.
This is definitely not the case because this is from 15 to 17, so they've clearly had to do this multiple times, but the book was written in 2009, so I'll see if I can find this one specifically.
Okay, and then and also to be clear, it sounds like this is them just charging more for premiums. It doesn't sound like this has to do with them not paying out stuff or whatever, but...
Well, this case is not the one we're looking at. So let me real quick try one more time. INRI, Farmers, I didn't type the whole thing. Exchange, Claims, Representatives, Overtime, Pay, Litigation. I don't know if I look at the, I don't know if you know court documents more than I do, but this like 336F Supplemental 2D 1077, is that a number you can Google or?
Fuck, what was the page of this on this book again?
Here, let me double click this. It'll probably be 140 something. 154. Okay, this looks right. Except Court of Appeals. No, this is, 2007. This might be the right one. Let me just link it to you just in case it is.
Sure.
Find the
overtime pay litigation. I don't know if this has to do with.
I think it was because they were arguing that the system was not to be argued with or used again. So again, just to back off for a second here. I'm claiming that, according to this book at least, the incentive structure of payment for these employees is tied to denying claims, because to get in new information, reevaluate that claim, which could potentially result in a larger payout, was not incentivized because they're not getting the overtime pay because it would take more time, at least specifically in this case. So if
I agree that if that is the case, that would be bad, but this is like so much more hedged and qualified than the initial claim, because the initial claim sounded like
let's go down because there's a much stronger claim then.
Yeah, sure, because the stronger claim is that like when given new information, they wouldn't even do a reevaluation of the claim. That seems really bad to me.
Right. Okay. Well, hold on. Because that is the claim. The claim I think that they're making there is because the extra time it would take to do this in this specific case would not be paid for. They're not incentivized to go and actually do more work.
Sure, but now it sounds like we're just talking about like, well, how much work should an adjuster do? I don't know, like what is like the appropriate.
I guess the malicious conspiracy thing from the book is alleging is, the higher ups are like, meh, if we tell them don't work too hard because we're not going to pay you, they won't take in new information and pay out claims, which will save us money and we don't have to pay them out. But the reasonable, potentially, neutral analysis of this would say, okay, maybe they just don't have a good overtime policy, and then people got lazy. And
you could spend an infinite amount of time on any job theoretically, right? Like if I was paid to clean a place, like I could spend 100 hours or I could spend 5 hours. Like you have to find out like, well, what is the appropriate amount of time given a job? Like for instance, the book seems to speak derisively about the idea of them having like a policy guideline to follow, whatever. If I had to guess, every single insurance company in the world's adjusters are given guidelines for what they have to follow. I doubt any adjusters just pretty like, I think here we should pay out $500 billion. Yeah. So
okay, but you would agree that if they're saying, hey, cut this off, and those cutoffs are resulting in people not getting paid out because factual evidence comes out that says they should be paid out, but they're just like, hey, don't spend too much time on this. There is some limit there where it wouldn't make sense to cut them off, and there also is a limit where it's like, okay, you're spending too much time. This isn't worth it.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Like there could be like where it's like, okay, real reasonably, you're saying like, oh, you've got 10 minutes to figure out like the payout of this would probably be bad. But if we're saying that like they figured out something and there are a few people who were able to sue because they feel like they didn't get a fair shake, I mean, I don't know if that's evidence that all of the adjusters are being encouraged or incentivized to fuck up their
Okay,
job.
well then,
But I mean,
I think this next one is pretty bad. This is probably the last like really big thing. And,
okay, sure.
If by the end of this, if anything, I've made you more against me than towards me, I will think that's hilarious. But if you control F in the book, this is on page 98, North Dakota Department of Insurance.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Sure. So what this claim is, so it's not the link you're highlighting, by the way. That's the Bonenberger one. But in the book, essentially the claim is that there are goals within the company to hit certain, let's say, quotas. So increase the number of fraud referrals, close a set percentage. So this is the biggest thing to me that's like, this screams like, actually, this is kind of evil. Close a set percentage of claims without payment. So to me, that's like, okay, so maybe there's like an average number of claims that should be, denied, but like the fact that you have a quota for it going into the next like financial year seems kind of scummy to me. Like, what if there's fewer that year? Like, how do you have to meet a quota of denying claims without payment? That seems insane. The other 2 points are estimate the condition of damaged vehicles at or below nation average, which is like, okay, you're purposefully driving down the payouts by not even ever going above the average of the national. That seems weird. And the final one saying they told adjusters to maintain indemnity cost, aka like what you pay out or what you owe, at inflationary levels. So like, don't start paying out more, even if that is determined by your adjuster what that person should get based on their injury. Like, we have a specific set guideline, do not go more than this. So like, these all together, just my claim before you speak is, this seems like an incentive structure to deny things arbitrarily. I'm going to use that word here because maybe not arbitrarily, but like specifically with profits in mind, that is placing profits over the health of the person or the insured.
So, I mean, it's going to be the same set of questions, and I'm understanding better like how this book is written. So It sounds like it's just like take a bunch of data and then like create like the most fantastic story possible. And I could very easily create like counter stories that, I mean, you would need evidence to further either one of these. So when we say like increase the number of fraud referrals, does that mean increasing the number of like claims that are made, increasing the referrals to like a district attorney for criminal fraud?
I don't know for that one specifically. The way it's written, which might be misleading, is, hey, suggest more of these might be for fraud.
Okay,
right?
So that sounds like, because it sounds like even just reading this, that it sounds like they're dealing with what they feel are like increased amounts of fraud claims from customers, like fraudulent claims that are just not true. So it sounds like they're trying to increase the referrals. It says to close a set percentage of claims without payment. My guess is going to be there's probably like a market average for how many of these are fraudulent or bad. And if that's like 10%, and if you have adjusters and it looks like you're closing like 99% of these, with payment, then it's like, hold on, we're probably paying out like a lot of fraudulent claims if this is what the average is. So maybe it should be higher, or maybe it could also be evil too. But I mean, like, I just don't know. And then to estimate the condition of damaged vehicles at or below national average compared to what? I'm curious how that's written out or what that means. I would expect it to be at about the national average. I mean, lower sounds kind of shitty. Higher, I would never expect them to, but it should be at about the national average. Farmers adjusters told to maintain indemnity costs at inflationary levels. I don't know exactly what that means. Indemnity
is just what you have to pay out, right? So like what you're owed. No,
I don't. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. In this case, I'm sorry. It might be actually cost at inflate, because when you indemnify somebody, it means that like I'm not liable for a particular
compensation or protection against a loss or liability. Yeah. So like in this case, a comprehensive form of insurance compensation for damage or loss. That's my understanding of it, but.
Okay, at inflationary levels, what does that mean? Is that a good thing or a bad thing, or I don't even know what it's...
That means that you essentially, if you read it in the book, but like you can take my word on this or not, my understanding is if you, let's say you paid 7% out, this is just a number I'm making up, or maybe it is in the book. If you paid 7% out last year, don't pay more than that except for accounting for inflation, if that makes sense. So do not pay more out this year than you did last year. No matter what, which like that is like, okay, you're
when you
going
say no
into
matter what,
year.
That's like a really strong claim. So even if they've got like a ton of very legitimate claims, they just don't pay them out. Like,
well, that's what the book is claiming. That might not be true, but it's like,
what's the book citing for evidence?
This is the North Dakota Department of Insurance examination of farmers' practices from 2004, a 3-year investigation that ended in June 2007. Let me see if I can find this link. By the way, just to like recap, like what we've gone through so far, I think at best, like I said, maybe this book is incredibly misleading for your side, and like I am just reading into it too far, and I've been propagandized, and that was kind of my concession. Like, if you could convince me otherwise, the issue here is not insurance necessarily; it's that there's this massive, massive misinformation campaign against insurance companies, where all of these allegations are coming out, and really all of them are spurious and exaggerated, and the people that are coming with these anecdotes are just misinformed as well, where they don't know they have better options. If that's the case, I don't think I'm entirely convinced that is. I'm not saying it's impossible, but
I'm not
best,
saying that there's. I'm not saying that like it's. I'm sure that like insurance companies like have engaged in bad behavior. I'm sure that, but I just what the question is like, is this really what's contributing to the high cost of healthcare in the United States, and is this like leading to significantly worse outcomes that can be solely blamed on insurance companies? Because like, my
I
guess
don't think this is the major problem with insurance, by the way.
Because my guess is you could run this exact same analysis on private clinics, on hospitals, on pharmaceuticals, and we could find that all up and down the ladder, every single part of this system, there have probably been bad actors. There have been people that have lost lawsuits. There have been people that have like questionable practices sometimes. Like, I'm sure we can find this in every single thing. That's like been but up and down the ladder, it's probably the thing. Yeah.
Right. And so like the kill shot for me is like what would push me over the edge is, oh, okay, all these whistleblowers are coming out and saying, look, we do this without just cause. We make up stuff. We
yeah,
try
but
to
this
go
is
through
like the
loopholes
weakest. This is like an industry that probably employs hundreds of thousands of people, and you're getting a whistleblower that's coming out and making the weakest claim ever with no evidence at all. That's just conjecture in their opinion. Some of it's been literally contradicted, and then it's like, what am I supposed to take from this?
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, first of all, I don't think that a majority of people would come out and be against this because, like I said, a lot of the more egregious stuff is immediately caught, right? So complete fraud, embezzlement, making up numbers, like that stuff's caught, that stuff's whistleblown. I think the smaller stuff, and you can get into the politics of like manufactured consent, but it's like the people that are already there in these systems, the people that work their way up and become CEOs, they see it as like, oh, this is fine. Like, this is just like, some people you got to deny, some people you don't. Like, in the similar way that you're justifying it now, I don't think you're justifying, yeah, it's good that all these people are dying. If it's happening, that's fine. Like, obviously, that's not what you're saying. It's, hey, like, this is how insurance works. You got to pick and choose who lives and dies sometimes. It's a zero-sum game. Like, that is how they view it. And when you're in this system, I don't necessarily think these people are looking at it like, oh my God, we're so awful. It's like, yep, this is how it works. This is the status quo. How can I do something about that? And then some people who are higher ups do come out and say, well, shit, I don't think this is the way it has to be.
Sure,
that's
but I'm just saying, yeah, but I don't, but that's, well, is that really your position though? Like, didn't you make a video on this? If I were to look at the video that you made on this, is it going to be that position, or is it going to be
yes, yeah, it is. If you look at the video I made on it,
and they need to be held accountable?
No, it's not. I actually recommend everyone go watch that video because it's actually less of a strong claim that I made in the debate, because my first big take is no, we should not be killing people in the streets. I think there's plenty of room for reform. There's so many things on the spectrum between that and what we're currently doing, which is probably not enough, that we can do to push this in the right direction. And the people like Brian Thompson, even if he is committing heinous evil acts, I don't think he's necessarily even this like unreformable monster. I think he's part of that system. It's kind of explained as what is to be done in that system. And I don't even think he sees if this stuff is happening. If you grant that, he doesn't see the downstream effects of it. He sees it as numbers on a screen. And I think that if you kind of take him or some like Northrop Grumman CEO who makes bombs or any of these people and show, hey, this is the downstream effects of your actions. Do you think we should change them? I think that's there's a much better argument for that than these people are like Nazi Hitler McGee's and we should murder them in the street. So yeah, like that is my position in the video.
Wait, so what is our disagreement then? Or what do you think you and me have?
Okay, so this was the interesting part. We never got to this in debate. My disagreement, and I think you actually agreed with this, although with the caveat that you don't think the denials are happening on the same scale, is that let's say all this is... Sure. And that's fine. Let's say they are. Just for the sake of argument, please just grant me that. I know like you aren't convinced. But if they are happening, if you are one of these people who is going to die in the next week or month or whatever, or is suffering, or essentially has their money being stolen out of their pocket by an insurance company, and you see that there is no direct recourse from the legal system or the current anything that we live in system that is going to punish these people, what do you tell those people? Because I don't want to tell those people go out and kill people, because I don't want to live in the world
if that is
happens.
the case, then I mean, like, I think you're basically most of the way there to justifying that, of course. But that's like
right.
That's
all I kind of wanted to have. But I do think there are other options, right? Like you I think you said this in the debate. You said tough shit, right? And it is kind of tough shit because I think what I have to tell them, and I guess what you're telling them too.
Wait, hold on. If I said tough shit, I have to go back and look, but it's probably to like something that you might perceive to be as like unfair. But if I'm granting everything that you are paying money to an insurance company that says they're going to cover you for condition X, and then you come down with condition X, you go to the hospital says, sorry, even though this might be life-threatening, we're not going to treat it. And then your insurance company tells you, fuck off, kick rocks. And then you try to sue them and the courts are like, nope, we're protecting them because of lobbyists and blah, blah, blah. At that point, fuck it. I mean, if you're going to go fucking postal, like knock yourself out. Like you're very, very, very
But that's farther than I would go, right? Because what I'm saying is, I don't want to, like, would you agree that's probably, like, this killing is probably not going to change anything for the better? If anything, it might think
no, the difference is that, like, when you say, can you just assume this? I feel like you're at, like, 60% asking me to assume 30% more, and I'm at, like, 1%, and you're asking me to assume 98% more. That's the issue. I think you feel like in your mind that you were, like, basically at this point, we're over halfway there already, and in my mind, I'm like, we haven't even begun to establish this as fact.
Well, that's why I kind of wanted to say, like, clearly, the people that are coming out with these anecdotes, they think this, regardless of whether or not they justifiably think
but that's,
so let's say they're wrong, right?
This would be the equivalent of the example I used earlier. Like, okay, I want to ask you an honest question. Do you think that we should kill all black people in the United States? I'm guessing you would probably say no. And I would say, okay, let's just assume for argument's sake that they are genetically predispositioned with warrior genes to kill us, that they will never integrate into society, that ultimately their goal is to purge all white people in the United States, and that they've already begun taking concrete actions to kill all of us. At that point, do you think we should kill them all? Like, you almost kind of have to say yes, but it's like, Jesus, that's like...
Yeah, but it's like saying yes to that isn't saying yeah. No, I understand that. No, 100%. But what I'm trying to say here is, okay, like just addressing it in reality, like outside of the hypotheticals, if these people, like you see all these, it's not majority, but there's a large amount of support for this person. A lot of people are like, oh, good, he fucking got him. Yeah, good riddance. A lot of people are coming out with these stories, which may or may not be spurious, that are like, hey, like this is happening to me. My stuff's denied. Like, and what it seems to be, if your understanding is true, I know you're skeptical and you're more in like the agnostic area, but it's like, hey, this hasn't been proven to me yet. And again, I haven't proven it to you. So unfortunately, the point is, if they think that, what do we do about that? Like, do we tell them, hey, actually your suffering isn't
literally
real,
the first thing we do is like try to like get people back to a more factual based world, right? Like right now we're having the same conversation about H-1Bs. Is it true that Indians are invading this country en masse at the behest of capital owners who are using them as indentured servants to displace and depress like the white race, because Jews are ordering it? Like, how do you fight back against that? It sure as fuck isn't on the policy level. Like, that's on the information level. Like, I'm not going to say, okay, well, maybe to appease some of these people who think that Jews are controlling immigration, maybe we should immigrate a few less Indians. No, that would be insane. Much the same, I'm not going to say like, okay, well, we need to have these huge penalties for insurance companies or, sanctioning the murder of some CEOs because a whole bunch of people are misled by public information about what's actually happening, especially when it seems like the book written on this, like, mainly cites to like car insurance stuff or pre-ACA stuff, which I think are like substantially different environments or insurance markets. I would say like, okay, well, we should probably fight more on the insurance, or not on the insurance, we should fight more on the information level. Because even if we came down as harsh as possible, as we possibly could on insurance companies, it would change basically nothing about healthcare in the United States. And what's worse, it might change nothing, and people might feel better about it because they saw something happened, even though nothing happened, which I think would be bad.
When you say it wouldn't change anything, what wouldn't change anything? Yeah, I agree. We shouldn't be sanctioning CEO
coming
killings,
down hard on like insurance companies. I don't think would change basically anything in the United States. It wouldn't fundamentally alter any of the engagement we have with healthcare. It wouldn't really do much of anything.
You don't think if, for example, we said it's mandated that you release your claims data like the Chubb does, that might make it a little more transparent?
I don't think Chubb is even remotely. Chubb is not remotely comparable here. I don't even think they do real health insurance.
Throw them out then. Like, let's just say we say, hey, you guys have to release your claims data because we want to see whether or not you're unjustly denying people. Maybe they're not. What if we just said, hey, government mandated,
you could say
have to
that,
do that,
but at that point, my guess is every insurer would probably just abandon that market, and then it would just have to be the government doing it anyway, because you're already in such.
They'd all leave America?
No. They would abandon the Medicare Advantage market. They would just leave that market.
No, I'm saying literally every single health insurance, like every number, not just Medicare Advantage.
Oh, if all of it had to be published, then you would probably just destroy all those markets because nobody would be in the health insurance market anymore. You'd have no competitive edge or advantage because you're publishing literally every single thing proprietary that you've discovered. So everybody would just
not everything, just your claims data. Just, hey, these are how much we pay out. This is how much.
It can't be just your claims data. It has to be everything. Claims is everything, right? You understand that the whole point, that's a whole insurance company's business, is figuring out how much do we pay to which people. That's the data that your entire market is based on, right?
No, maybe I'm confused, but I'm not saying like, hey, like, why do you make these decisions? I'm not saying what is your company policy. I'm saying go through these numbers and say, okay, we have this many clients, there are this many claims, we find this many to be fraudulent, there are this many payouts, this is the average payout for this kind of claim. Like, is that not something you can release, or why not?
Not satisfactorily, because then you get people gaming those systems. So let's say you say I only have to release the amount that I pay out, but I don't have to release any other information. What if I get my actuaries to run the data and I find out, that like Chinese people and Native Americans have some of the most like higher like appeals rates or whatever, and we're just not going to sell insurance to those people. And all of a sudden now my claims data looks better than everybody else's, and I've got like the least appeals and the least denials ever. But it's because now I'm engaged in like bad business practice to try to bring those numbers artificially down, because these are the only ones I was forced to release, and now that's what people are judging me on. Like a lot of people are sucking off Kaiser because they have low denial rates supposedly, but like Kaiser is one of the most like locked in network providers in the US. It's not even true that just because you have Kaiser you're going to have a better experience. It just means you're going to be super ultra locked into their in-network providers versus going out of network at all.
Right. They have got a big like kind of conglomerate industry. I had Kaiser at one point. I know exactly what you're talking about, where it's like, oh, we have the hospital, we have the psychiatrist, we have everything. So it's harder to deny because you don't go out of network. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm just saying that like all of this effort and all of this is like a waste. Like we should be looking to like expand Medicare, or like try to fight for some kind of public option that might be like Medicare. Like if we got everything released about these health insurance companies in the perfect way possible, maybe we're saving like 2% or 3% when we go to the hospital, but like it's not helping much at all. Like it's
and I what's the claim that like 40,000 people die a year from this? Which let's assume that's true. I mean, that's the same as car accidents. That's the same as gun deaths. Like it's not that big of a number. Maybe the non-death issues and the stealing is a greater risk, but like I agree, it's literally not the biggest thing, and I do think it would be solved by expanding Medicare. I'm just kind of trying to speak to the point of why is everyone so fucking happy about this? And like I don't know if I agree with you, but like it does seem to be that this is a massive misinformation problem on your side. Yeah.
Why do you think that most people think that UFOs were flying over New Jersey because there actually were aliens?
Do most people think that? I don't know. I'm not trying to appeal to the masses, right? Like,
well, you literally are appealing to the masses. Let's say I can show you.
I'm not, because I don't agree with them. I'm just saying like.
Okay, let's say I can show you that 40% of people think that the election was stolen in 2020, or let's say that I can show you that what percentage of Republicans believe in QAnon or hurricane machines or anything else. Like,
yeah. Again, that's why I'm saying like it's not just a bunch of people think this. It's a question of why they think this. That's like
why
a little
do they
more
think it then? Do you
me.
think it's because of the actual practices, or do you think
that's my I mean, that's what I am understanding from this book. And like I said, it could be misleading, it could be bad.
Sure, but like, doesn't it hurt that when we think we understand this from this book, that one, this is an old book. It sounds like it was just 15 years ago or 10 years ago it was written at least. Or I'm sorry, not 10, like 15 or 20 years ago. So one is
16 years.
16 years. Okay. So one is that it's old. Two is that most of the examples cited are not from health insurance markets. And then it's pre-ACA, which dramatically changed the health insurance field. Like if these
That's
were
the one thing, actually, can you talk about the ACA dramatically changing? Because I think the 80-20 rule you brought up was the one thing that was like, yeah, that does make sense, as like this would be one of the things that might have prevented this stuff. But what else in the ACA, other than the pre-existing condition?
So I think that like claims were changed. Like I think that there's a response period for claims now. Like it has to be within 12 months that you respond to a particular claim. The pre-existing conditions thing was a really big one. The market's changed a bit, and that people aged up 25 or 26, I think, were able to
stay on their parents'
insurance, or So this is all like stuff that has probably changed these markets like pretty dramatically. Also things like when you talk about like a lot of the issues that we're having right now, like that whole 90% denials are all based around Medicare Advantage plans, which is like a bonus insurance you can get on top of Medicare just for old people. So this is a whole new market that didn't even exist.
It is also a replacement, right?
I don't believe it is, no?
It's both a, hey, this can wrap around what your already Medicare Advantage or your Medicare basis is, but I believe you can use Part C as a replacement for A and B, and because of that, you look in the stipulations and the regulations for Part C, it has to cover everything comparably that A and B does.
Right? But what I'm saying is that like, that Medicare Advantage plan will never give you less than what Medicare gives you. That will never happen. It shouldn't.
Well, I mean, I think actually in the Senate report, it said that it did, and they need to correct it. Like they're like, hey, you need to look into this because you're supposed to do this and you're not.
Hold on, wait.
Example
which
of
part of
the
that?
regulation working. Again, this is just me trying to remember. Let's see if it's less. No, hold on. It might not be in the report. It might be in the stat investigation. Sorry, but let me double check this. Medicare Advantage. Okay, at the very end, the last page. This is particular. Oh, here, let me just read the whole thing. Although the subcommittee's recommendation in this report are targeted at regulators, this should not distract from the fact that it is insurers who are using prior authorization to protect billions in profits while forcing vulnerable patients into impossible choices. This is particularly troubling when recent analyses indicate that Medicare Advantage is more expensive than traditional Medicare, with one assessment concluding that in 2024, the government spent 22% more to fund Medicare Advantage plans than it would have had those beneficiaries been enrolled in traditional Medicare. There is a role for the free market to improve the delivery of health. Okay, blah, blah, blah. This is just their opinion. But
wait. So what did that just say? What are we even talking about here?
I was saying that even though it's supposed to be the same, it would appear in recent analyses that they're actually spending more on traditional Medicare. Like it's costing patients more.
But what is it saying here? It should not distract from the fact that insurers are using prior authorization to protect billions of profits while forcing vulnerable patients into impossible choices. What does that mean? What does this have to do with traditional Medicare and it like not covering things that traditional Medicare covers? It doesn't sound like that's...
I don't think those are necessarily two related sentences because this is a summary of the fact that they're using the AI system to replace administrative costs. It's saving them billions of dollars thanks to denials. And also it's particularly troubling because adjacent thing, Medicare Advantage is currently seen as more expensive than traditional Medicare. So that's how they're related. I don't think it's like, hey, by the way, this is also bad because of, and then third thing that is not completely related to the first sentence.
Sure. But I don't see what is like, the original claim had to do with whether or not, like, if you were enrolled in this plan that you're getting like less than your Medicare thing. But that's not the case, right? These are usually like bonus plans, right? I think there's almost always bonus plans. So you're not paying for this and getting less than what you would ordinarily be covered by Medicare anyway, right? Like there's an additional...
Well, this seems like you're paying more and also sometimes not getting it because of this specific...
Where are you saying... Wait. Where are you ever seeing not getting it? In this last paragraph or any part of this, you're not getting it. It sounds like...
The denials.
Did the denials have to... Denials happen under Medicare ordinarily.
Yeah, but the claim in the Senate report is that they're happening at a massively larger scale than they should be.
Yeah, but if it's for bonus
that's what
insurance,
they say. It seems to be happening.
But if it's for bonus insurance, that means it's also trying to cover things that Medicare ordinarily wouldn't cover. Even if the denial rate was 100%, which would be extreme, but even if it was 100%, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're covering or that you're missing things that you would have gotten under Medicare, right?
Right, and this is where I'd have to break down, okay, what part of the Medicare Advantage is supposed to be the supplement to Medicare A and B, and which part of it is supposed to be the equivalent of Medicare A and B, which I don't know the breakdown of that off the top of my head. I mean, or at all.
Sure, but I feel like if it was the case that there were things that you were entitled to under ordinary Medicare, which you don't have to pay for at all, or I'm sorry, at the very least you don't pay much. I don't know, there might be copays or something, but if you've already paid your taxes into Medicare, if there were things that you had a Medicare Advantage plan and now you're not even getting covered for stuff that Medicare covered, I feel like that would be like a headline for this report. It wouldn't be buried into like a random paragraph here, right? That would be like one of the biggest things that is like, if you didn't have this Medicare Advantage plan, you would already be getting this from Medicare, now you're getting fucked over. But I don't think that is the case at all, no? This is just for bonus plans, right?
Wait, I'm actually confused. It sounds like it is what you're saying. So this plan, like when these people get denied some sort of post-acute care, they can't just immediately jump onto Medicare and get the replacement, right?
But I don't know if they would have ever even been approved for that under Medicare.
Okay, but like, then what does that say? Because if some of these people need this, right? Like,
no,
I guess that was established.
No, we've said that it would be nice, but I don't, like, need it. I don't think that's ever been established.
I thought the stat cases that show, hey, this person, like, oh, okay, well, hold on. There was the one that you said was medical malpractice for sure, but like,
well, hold on, I don't want to claim medical malpractice. I'm saying the story you suspect that a guy got discharged from a
right. It could be. I'm saying like, that doesn't prove anything. I'm agreeing.
Sure.
Yeah, gotcha. And what I'm saying is the other one where there's the claims from the employees that are saying, hey, like it appears that the people we are denying are going to die within weeks or months because they're not getting the care, the daily care, the injections, whatever that they need. That is the claim made by the stat investigation, or at least that
if
they reported. If
this was the case, this would show up somewhere than just an anonymous testimony and an anonymous thing. There would be like mass people dying as a result of infection or something after
discharge. But that's the thing. It doesn't have to be mass, right? Like this isn't that many people. This is a small sliver of a smaller sliver of the insurance.
If it's a small sliver of a small sliver, then that shows far more that it was either due to some employee negligence or something than a rule. How have we crafted a rule to make billions in profit that's only covering a small amount of people that's undetectable in any larger statistical survey?
Their rollout of this system, right?
I would need to see evidence for any of this. I feel like this is an extraordinary...
Well, this is in the Senate. I know this is in the Senate, but they're testing the rollout of this AI system on the Medicare Advantage plan. That is in this article.
No. That's not what your claim is. Your claim is that they're testing the rollout of a system that is meant to specifically deny coverage to a sliver of people who would be entitled to it otherwise under Medicare. I don't think that's the case at all.
What would I need to show you in this report that establishes that?
Literally anything at all, ever. Anything. Does this report
right,
even
but like
claim that?
let's say, well, the report is claiming that they're overly denying people. It is harmful and is with intention. I don't know what specific.
Well, they said that it suggests that. I don't even think they make that claim, which is why most of the recommendation, or every recommendation, I think, was just to like regulators, basically.
Does this? And I'm not claiming you're being bad faith because you're not, but like, it feels like this is setting up the dominoes, at least in this Senate report. Like, look, this seems like what's happening. You can look and there's like internal documents where they are very aware that this is saving them money, way more money.
No. You keep over assuming the strength of your evidence. You haven't shown that anywhere ever. You haven't shown any internal documents. You've only
I have the graph. Yes, let me show you.
I'm just saying the fact that you keep saying these things casually means that you think you have proven it, and that's why you keep uttering these things. But to me, if anything, I'm just getting more and more evidence in favor of the other direction. I never saw those McKinsey documents at all. It sounds like those McKinsey documents were just being paraphrased by the author of that book, and all of the examples are from like car insurance markets and everything else. So it sounds like the evidence is way weaker even than I initially thought it was. But then you just like, you'll casually say, because I understand why you think I'm asking for an ungodly amount of evidence if you feel like you've already shown that there are internal documents that have leaked that have proven that they're acting in bad faith.
Yeah, I agree. Let me grant you this. I don't know if you've ever taken like a college course, but like professors who are really bad at explaining things, it's not because they're not smart. It's because I don't even want it. This sounds pretentious as fuck because I'm not trying to compare myself to a fucking professor. But like once you like read a bunch of this shit and like you forget how much of it is like, oh, that's just a given, and how much of it is like, oh, I really need to establish this. So I read this thing like a bajillion times, not all the way through, but like to me it's like, oh, duh, this part. And that's why it was so frustrating in the conversation, because it was like, oh, like I didn't know that I would have to establish the denials are happening. I thought that was just a given, but clearly it's not.
You wouldn't have to establish it, but the book would have to establish it. But it seems like the book doesn't even do a great job at establishing.
And it's not satisfactory. I think the specific.
Well, wait, no, not that it's not satisfactory. Is that it doesn't even seem to try to establish these things. It gives you some quotes from people that are working in like other unrelated insurance markets, and then it's trying to set like a pattern.
Hold on, unrelated. All I tried to establish before we even get to any healthcare stuff is, hey, insurance companies sometimes unjustly deny you. And so if these quotes from these people are true, they are claiming it happens. They're like, this is practice. This is common.
Yeah, but this is such
industry,
a soft
right?
claim. We would never argue this ever. Like I would always agree. Like you could give me literally any industry, government or private, and I would agree that they probably
it's widespread though?
Well, no, that's not what you just
practice?
hold on. That's not what you just said.
Okay, but that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying the quotes from the people that are saying, "Hey, this is industry practice," or "Hey, like we're all doing this."
Industry practice? Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that necessarily. No, but I don't think we've even
so
come
like they
close
could be
to
lying. But
establishing
what
that.
I'm saying is like
No, wait. You just said they could be lying. Even the quotes themselves, those people don't allege that. Just the author of the book does, based on the quotes. Not like that affidavit that we read earlier. Nobody is making that claim in any affidavit or in any signed testimony or any sworn or anything else. Doesn't seem like any of that's made ever.
The like reference 127 that we were in the book where she says this playing hardball on the missed claims like seems to be industry practice. You kind of said maybe that should be the case, but it is definitely like, hey, we're trying to discourage anyone from pursuing any of these.
Wait. On what was the page that footnote was made? You said footnote 127.
Is it footnote 127? I don't know if my autism's working right now. Let me see.
Hold on, I can find it. I'm close.
128. Excuse me. This is from Grace Hess. Like this one again. Page 119.
Page 119. Mm-hmm. The company was going, but this has to do with the missed. This has to do with one is auto insurance, which is okay, but this has to do with the missed claims. This is a very specific thing of things. Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is not like, this is nothing. This doesn't get me anywhere in anything. Like even if everything she was saying was true, this doesn't get us anywhere in this other, like it moves me literally 0.0% in any direction. These have to do with like soft tissue injuries that are unprovable on a scan or anything else. And they're just saying that like the companies are going to be like a lot more hardball against these things. And based on a review that I just read, and there may be more information out there, I don't even know if these are like real injuries. They literally definitionally seem to be things.
The idea of forcing arbitration because they want to send a message, does that not seem at least a little bit like not sit well with you at all?
I don't know. It depends on if they feel like the majority of these things are fraudulent claims or not.
Even if they are.
Then no. Then I think it's probably, then fuck them.
Okay, sure. So then let's say if this is your position, I'm not trying to frame this as bad. Do you think then, because let's say made up number. 3% of them are valid, 90% of them are false. They should play hardball on every single one. Fuck the people that have valid ones, because too many people are ruining it for those people. And then we kind of shift the blame over to the fraudulent claims, because they're ruining it for everyone.
If there's a type of claim where 97% are false, yeah, I would imagine that the insurance company would just stop offering coverage of that completely.
Okay. All right. If that's the case, I don't know. I'm sure it's not 97%, but it could be a very high amount. I'm just trying to establish, like, when I read stuff like that, again, it could be the book framing it weird, but like, it seems to me like this seems like, let's try to save money on this. But
yeah, they are probably trying to save money on it, but it's because it's like a pseudo medical claim. It seems like it's not even a real thing.
Well, it's a real thing. It's just also very hard to prove, and there's lots of fraud with it, right?
Sure. So it seems like if you wanted them to do that on anything, I would want them to do that. I would, as a customer of an insurance company, I would want them to play hardball on that. I don't want to play more premiums for people who claim 12 months after a like non-identifiable car accident, they have whiplash. I don't want to pay an extra $20 a month on my insurance to cover for people like that. I wouldn't want to buy into an insurance company like that. Fuck that.
He cut out for you guys too? I can't hear him.
Wait, can you hear me? Hello, hello?
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be, if I knew a car insurance company was offering that shit, I imagine the premiums would be way more expensive. I wouldn't want to buy into that car insurance company. I would just never say that I'm going to do.
Especially if they weren't properly investigating fraud. I would agree. That's what I'm saying, is like, this could be, like you said, if everything you're assuming is true, like, that's not something that's outside of the realm of my imagining a possibility. But all this stuff combined, all the whistleblower stuff, like, this does point more to me that, like, hey, this seems like they're being malicious about it. All these anecdotes come up. Yeah, they're anecdotes, but it's like, I find it very hard to believe that every single one of these people are being properly denied coverage, and also just did not know that they could do X, Y, or Z to fix their situation. That just seems kind of ridiculous to me. But like, it could be. I'm not saying it's wrong.
This would be what I would say. I would read 5 paragraphs of this. This is just how I feel about this entire thing. Okay, I feel this way about a lot of things.
Which
part?
Where? Sorry.
It's not anything you've linked me. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It takes a special sort of person to be a cardiologist. This is not always a good thing. Okay, you may have read about one or another of the, quote, cardiologists caught falsifying test results and performing dangerous, unnecessary surgeries to make more money, end quote, stories, but you might not have realized just how common it really is. And then link to Maryland cardiologist performs over 500 dangerous, unnecessary surgeries to make money. Another link to unrelated Maryland cardiologist performs another 25 in a separate incident. Another link to California cardiologist does, quote, several hundred, end quote, dangerous, unnecessary surgeries and gets raided by the FBI. Another link to Philadelphia cardiologist, same thing. Another link to North Carolina cardiologist, same. 11 Kentucky cardiologist, same. There's another link, actually just a couple of miles from my own hospital, quote, or a link to another thing. A Michigan cardiologist was found to have done $4 million worth of the same, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My point is not just the number of cardiologists who perform dangerous, unnecessary surgeries for a quick buck. It's not even just about and then another link to cardiologist insurance fraud, another link to cardiologist kickback schemes, or another link to cardiology research data falsification conspiracies. That could all just be attributed to some distorted incentives in cardiology as a field. My point is that it takes a special sort of person to be a cardiologist. Consider the sexual harassment. And then another link to head of Yale cardiology department fired for sexual harassment with, quote, rampant bullying, end quote. And then another link to Stanford cardiologist charged with sexually harassing students. And another link to Baltimore cardiologist found guilty of sexual harassment. And then another link to LA cardiologist fined $200,000 for groping medical technician. And then another link to 3 different Pennsylvania cardiologists sexually harassing the same woman. Another link to Arizona cardiologist suspended for 19 different counts of sexual abuse. And then another link to world's leading cardiologist fired for sending pictures of his genitals to a female friend. Another link to New York cardiologist in trouble for refusing to pay his $135,000 bill at a strip club. Another link to Manhattan cardiologist taking naked pictures of patients, then using them to sexually abuse employees. Another link to New York cardiologist secretly installed spy cam in office bathrooms just to shake things up. Another link to a Florida cardiologist was falsely accused of sexual harassment as part of a feud with another cardiologist. And yeah, you can argue.
I don't know where you got my resume, but like, this is not cool that you're doxing me on stream.
My bad. Okay. And yeah, you can argue that if you put high status men in an office with a lot of subordinates, sexual harassment will be depressingly common just as a result of the environment. But there's also another link to Texas cardiologist who pled guilty to child molestation. And then another link to California cardiologist who killed a 2-year-old kid. And then another link to the author of one of the world's top cardiology textbooks was arrested on charges that Wikipedia describes only as, quote, related to child pornography and cocaine, end quote. Then it gets weird. Did you hear about the Australian cardiologist who is fighting against extradition to Uganda, where he's accused of terrorism, aggravated robbery, and murdering 7 people? What about the Long Island cardiologist who hired a hitman to kill a rival cardiologist and who is also, for some reason, looking for enough explosives to blow up a building? Like I said, it takes a special sort of person. You can, if you look at any sufficiently big industry, and cardiology is going to be a lot smaller than healthcare, you can get like a collection of 100 different anecdotes or stories or data points to try to prove a particular thing, but it doesn't, I need something. I don't even want to say the smoking gun of an insurer saying all of us in the insurance industry have widespread horrible practice. But when it's 3 testimonies from a collection of markets of like across car insurance and everything else, where they say like, we think that bad practices happen sometimes. Like that's not even, you've moved the needle like 0.0001%. We're not even close to a subject. And the idea that like you can present like 5 stories.
If I moved you even a little bit to the left, if it's 0.01%, I'm not consider it a win. But like if at the end of this, if it really did move you back the other way because the evidence seems more spurious, I will consider that stupid on my part. But if that is the case, like what is your evaluation of why I think this? Is it just brain rot? Is it that I'm not looking into it hard enough? A lack of skepticism? Like what is your take on that?
Well, I mean, I can't guess your mind state, but I mean that I think one.
I'm just assuming. I'm not trying to.
Sure, there is a cultural moment right now where everybody wants to hate on these particular people, so we're selecting for any stories relating to hating on these people. And then there is obviously this book you've read that seems to be somewhat formative. You said it yourself that you read this book a dozen times or whatever in going through these things.
Just once. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said multiple times. I'm almost positive you said multiple times.
The Senate report I scrolled through like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, okay. If that is the case, then I can understand why you'd be like predisposed in this direction in feeling these particular things. I would just be like worried, like if we don't have, like I used to believe for the longest time that that lobbyists were obviously in control of the government. Yeah, this is a thing that just seems obviously self-evidently true. I can think of the mechanism for it. You lobby people so they do things for you, so you're more likely to vote for their policies so that you get elected. I can think of the everybody in the culture says it, right and left, everybody agrees on this, blah, blah, blah. And I had somebody push me in one conversation once where he was like, can you think of a single example of a policy that's popular by the American people that lobbyists have like prevented from passing? And I couldn't think of a single...
That's a very specific claim. I mean, have you read the book Dark Money by Jane Mayer? Because you can look at... I'm not trying to be like, read the theory.
But I'm just saying like that was an example of a thing that I firmly believed, such that like in 2016, I said that I supported Bernie Sanders on the sole policy of removing lobbyists from government. That was the sole reason why I would support him over any other candidate. And when I got pushed on that question, I didn't have a single response to that. I was like, okay, well, fuck me. I can't even actually think of anything like this. And I can
what's the criteria though to prove it?
That's not relevant to this conversation. I'm just saying that like it's possible that in a certain information environment you can come to heavily believe like a particular thing for a variety of reasons that seem like very justified. But then when it comes time to actually prove the thing, this is why like every time I bring up a claim now on stream, I've done this for a couple of years, where it's like I need to Google the thing to make sure that I'm remembering a real study and not just like some cultural zeitgeist moment where I think that this is a thing that I thought was a thing because somebody else said it was a thing. That's all I'm saying. Do you agree at all that it's kind of weird that it's kind of weird that like a lot of the examples have to come from non-health insurance markets, or that a lot of them are like a dozen years old, or that it's like
the only reason it's presented this specific way is because this is how it's presented. In the one book that I read, like I said, this is something I have not looked into until as of 6 days ago, which is why I'm like so willing to concede this, because it's like this could just be me being in a bubble. This could be that completely. I just think it's like seemed pretty convincing, still does. The only thing that I think, if anything, that you've moved me on here is that like, yeah, if I'm going to come at you with this claim, if obviously, God, I mean, if someone was justified enough to go out and shoot someone, which again, I don't think they should, this is like, you're going to need a lot more stronger evidence than like, hey, these people said this happened, or hey, this book claims this is happening, but it can't necessarily 100% prove it with a smoking gun. Yeah, that's not going to be enough. So yeah, 100%. Like this could just be me existing in a bubble and having read a couple books or articles that are already on my side, and it's just, well, that's what I wanted to hear. That's what the zeitgeist is kind of pushing me towards. Yeah, I'm not even going to deny that. Not even a little bit.
Sure. I guess that's all I would look at then. Like if somebody says there's huge problems with healthcare in the United States, and then they bring up like infant mortality, then I would look at like infant mortality. My understanding is the United States does very poor in infant mortality. I would need an explainer for that. That seems on its face very hard to explain. Why is this all? Now I happen to know the explanations for this, but like that would be something where I would immediately wonder like, oh shit, okay, maybe something's going on here. Why is our infant mortality so bad compared to other countries? But like if somebody is making these claims, and this had a lot to do with the economic stuff, the recession, the vibe session or whatever, where people say like, oh, like nobody can afford homes or nobody can afford this. And then you look at the data and it's like, okay, well, it seems like the data is tracking this perfectly. Something else must be going on, or people are emoting or saying a certain thing. That's what I would have trouble finding, I guess.
Yeah. Where people say, oh, I can't afford groceries, and you look into it and they spend way more than they need to. They're shopping at Whole Foods. Like, yeah, like I'm not going to close out and say, yeah, every single anecdote, like we have to take this at face value and not look into it anymore. It just would seem to me, based on the collective totality of what I've read, pointing to this does just make more sense to me off the top of my head. The evidence, while not smoking gun, is pretty implicating, and like
hold on. You keep saying smoking gun. You have nothing. There's not even anything even remotely.
None of this is anything? Like you don't think that like okay,
wait. If the claim has to do with like rules or policies or widespread bad behavior, you have nothing. Now, individual stories where some bad things might have happened, yeah, for sure, especially like that court case, for sure.
I don't like the claim of nothing. I understand that none of it is like dead to rights, but like
you keep saying these terms like dead to rights, smoking gun. Like What is a single example of anything that points towards industry-wide malpractice?
So again, when someone comes out as a whistleblower and says, hey, this is wide practice, is that not, like, do you think it's completely made up? Do you think it's exaggerated?
What was our strongest claim of this again?
The biggest one was the first one I showed you, with Pino coming out and saying it in 1996.
And what was
all the way at the top?
What was the strongest claim that she had made?
She said, we are fabricating denials through loopholes or other reasons that otherwise shouldn't be denying it. We are doing this for profit.
Sure, but then the thing that hurts the most is then that the strongest example, the one example that she gave, ended up being just wrong.
Well, first of all, I don't know if it's wrong. I just am assuming what Humana said in response to that could be true, and therefore I just won't even like hold my head against it. Because also it's like the appeal to emotion. That's her being like, "Oh, me personally, I killed someone. Look how bad this is." Like, I don't care if she specifically
hold on,
did it.
Stop. Humans give the strongest example when they give an example of a thing. So if the example that you've given of yourself being a bad participant in this market for a problem that's widespread and is infecting every single part of it, and you got promoted for this, and your example is I denied somebody something that Humana come out and said that, well, this wasn't covered by their policy, it was just a simple question on the phone, that hurts, I think, your case a lot.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, maybe that's the case too. The other thing is I'd have to take, it's like a question of who am I believing more? Is Humana being more honest about this? Are they representing it fairly? Is she representing it unfairly? That's why it's like harder to say like, all right, I know exactly what this person is saying. I'm not saying it's dead to rights stuff. I'm just saying like,
well, what is her credibility here? Why are you giving her so much credibility?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of, it's like with the Christine Blasey Ford thing where it's like, okay, like I have zero evidence of her ever being
wait. I don't like that comparison even at all, because that's over an individual behavior on an individual person and an individual instance.
Sure.
We're alleging like industry-wide behavior here. Why would we give her any credibility here? What is the, like, especially if she's not presenting any evidence?
Well, first of all, I don't know if she's presenting more evidence later in that case. I have the 5-minute clip. I have to go through the entire court thing, which again, I didn't have enough time to go through like every meticulous thing. I'm not an expert, but I'm assuming if she's going into court with all these claims, it's not just hey, I think this is happening. And she doesn't back it up.
She wasn't going into court. She was just giving testimony before like a Senate subcommittee or whatever, right?
Sure. Sorry, excuse me. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you're going in and going under oath and like proposing that this is indeed happening. Like, what I guess is your skeptical, reasonable explanation as to why she's doing this? Is
she might genuinely feel like there is like bad stuff going on. Maybe she feels guilty about the role she played. Maybe she genuinely does feel bad about like the state of healthcare in the United States. Maybe she's been captured culturally. Like
sure.
Is it Diamond and Rose? Was that the name? Like those two women, they went before Congress to allege that they were being censored and hunted by the fucking
oh my god, Diamond and Silk
or Diamond and Silk or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, like those people were.
Hey, one of them's dead, so they might have had a legitimate claim. They got her. So
Jesus.
Serious.
Well, it's sad. But anyway, yeah, I'm just saying that, it was just like a hearing. Yeah. But
right. Okay. Gotcha. So, cause like, yeah, Candace Owens goes in front of fucking Congress and alleges something like, yeah, am I going to take that at face value? Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Again, like which like, I'm trying to say like, I'm Destiny. I'm very skeptical of this. All of this seems very, very, not so, convincing to me. What would be like for you? Like this, not even this convinces me. This seems weird. Let me look into this. What's that piece of evidence?
I don't know, some sort of like percentage rate somewhere that's like diverging from historic norms with no like explainer, I guess.
So the Senate report isn't that exactly, right? It's like you said, it happened during COVID, okay. But like, I'm sorry, sorry to belabor this point, but like, it's when it's up to 16 times higher than normal, like, do you think that's completely explainable away by COVID? Do you think...
I don't know, but that's why that's a good hypothesis. You don't have anything there. It just looks weird. And that is true. It does look weird, but that's the only thing I take issue with this, saying nothing, or you have nothing. No, because that's all a hypothesis is. It's a start of an investigation. You're treating it like a conclusion, basically, or like you're halfway there, but it's just a start.
Yeah,
there's a lot of denials in a time period where the consumption of healthcare in the United States was more strange than anything ever. This is the same argument that people use when they talk about VAERS database reporting. Do you think it's weird that there are so many vaccine-related injuries that are being reported now based on all the mRNA vaccines that came out? Like, yeah, it is. There's a lot of information there, but there's reasons why. These are like historically crazy medical environments. We've never existed in before. But to take like that environment and say like, look, there's obviously, this is evidence that healthcare companies are doing this deny whatever bullshit. And keep in mind that whole phrase has to do with denying people life-saving care. But this Senate report just had to do with like Medicare Advantage Plus plans or whatever. Like Part C.
Right, yeah.
This is, so it's not even like, even the strongest form of like a Senate thing that we have is only targeting a hyper-specific sector of insurance that only impacts old people and coverage that extends beyond what ordinary Medicare would cover. And it's not even alleging wrongdoing. And it's only saying that the changes they'd recommend have to do to...
Wait, it is alleging wrongdoing. It's saying
no, it's not.
It's causing harm.
What?
It's suggesting they're intentionally causing harm.
Suggesting. There's a suggestion there. So that needs to be looked...
Is that alleging? Because it's not proven?
No, it's not even an allegation. It's like saying that there's a suggestion here. That's a hypothesis. That's another word for hypothesis, right? These increased rates of denial suggest that some wrongdoing could be happening here. We need to look into it. It's not saying that we believe there is wrongdoing. We're alleging wrongdoing here. They have no evidence of it other than the fact that like some of these rate denials seem to be high. That's why all of the examples, or that's why all of the advice that they gave in that Senate report was for regulators and not for the companies themselves.
Yeah, and also because if they can't prove the company's doing it on purpose, they can just say, hey, we suggest you stop, which is kind of what they said. You need to do better. It's not like, hey, we're going to specifically tell you to cease this illegal action, because it's not that. And they can't prove that it is.
Well, they can't even prove that the denials are done poorly or that they shouldn't even be. They just said it suggests that they are. But they don't even know if there's things being denied that shouldn't be denied. I don't even think it says that in the report. Not even in criminal behavior.
And again, when every time you say that, I have to go back in my brain and think, okay, every article I read from the stat investigation, every claim there, that must all be spurious or reading into things. Every single graph that is representing how much more this is denying the normal. Every internal document from CVS that says, hey, we say we're doing this for administrative costs, but we know we're saving actually 100 times that much on denials. Wait,
where is that document? Show me that document.
Oh yeah, sure. So that's in the Senate report. If we scroll up to I think I have it open right here. Yes, I do. That's going to be on page 32. They also explain this. Materials from this time. I'll wait till you're there, actually. Do you see this on page 32?
Yes, materials from this time demonstrate that CVS new denials of facilities claims represented a larger source of savings than automation. For example, in an October 2022 automation update, CVS estimated that automated approvals of as many as 174,000 initial reviews of inpatient admissions would generate at most $13.3 million in administrative savings across all of the company's lines of business. By contrast,
under the graph. Yeah, okay.
And then by contrast, in that same presentation, CVS estimated that 225,000 denials of this type of claim had generated $2.5 billion in medical cost savings. Okay.
This is alleged. So the only reason I said that was because this report is alleging, okay, you are saying to us, hey, you're doing this for administrative costs, but you're very, very aware of how much more it's saving you on denials. That's we can't prove it because you didn't say I'm doing this to save, on denial costs, but it's doing that and you're okay with rolling it out. That's
wait, where is this thing saving on administrative costs, but they're saying another thing? What are we talking about? Where is that coming from?
If you go back to the beginning, it's like saying they talk about why they justify implementing this AI system. It's like, hey, it's saving on administrative costs. And this 2 paragraphs you just read were the ones that are saying, hey, it is clear to us using this picture is from an internal document. You are very aware that the amount you're saving from denials is much, 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 much higher. And that indicates that this is the reason you're doing it, although we cannot prove that.
What? So, okay, hold on. You're saying that the initial claim is they're saying that we use an AI system just to save on administrative costs. I mean, it probably does save on administrative costs, but they're also saying
100% does, yeah.
Yeah, but they're also saving on claim denials as well. But that's true too, of course. But that's going to be true of any type of denial at all, right?
No, not of course, right? If let's say you had a specific set of denials that was happening. Let's say there's probably a margin of error, but you show it's like, okay, we did 7%, then 8%, then 7%, right? And then you're like, hey, this AI is going to save administrative costs because it's going to come in and instead of all these people adjusting these claims, this AI is going to do 90% of the work. We just have to have a human reviewer at the end. And suddenly, instead of 7.8, next year it's 16. 17, 20, right? And it's like, okay, is this AI overly denying? It does, maybe it's not, right? But this is indicating that were this to be done the way it was before, it would not be nearly so high. So the administrative costs...
But hold on. But then the question is because whether or not this will move you, is this analysis over the years of 2021, 2022, 2023?
Yeah, it is. It's
Okay, and
during
then
the
I think
COVID
they say
years. It's
even in
2019,
these,
2020,
so like
2022,
so the utilization of these plans is massively increasing as well, right? Like they're bringing it, and I think they even say that, So we,
yeah,
so
if
we
you
need
look at, there's actually a graph that's
I know,
proving your point right now.
I have to leave in like 1 minute, so I have to go really soon.
Okay,
Sorry.
gotcha.
But
Well,
like we know,
around. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're good. So we know that like there's more people that are coming in as well, right? I feel like I just need anything. Like anything more.
Right. So like if you just this last graph, because this is that, because like you're right, there's a huge number of people applying, but I want to read this paragraph, and this is figure 3, page 26. Data from United Healthcare indicated that at the same time it was significantly increasing denials of skilled nursing facilities, home health used by the company's beneficiaries was increasing. The insurer's prior authorization denial rates for home health services declined during the period covered by this report, but there was a vast increase in the number of Medicare Advantage beneficiaries using these services. In NaviHealth's first year of managing post-acute care for United Healthcare, the insurer possessed more than 4 times as many home health prior authorization requests as it did the year before, far beyond the company's growth in enrollment, which, if I'm reading this correctly, is saying, yeah, there's a way more fucking people, and because of that, yeah, the denial rate on this specific thing actually went down, but far more people are, if you're comparing year per year, who's being denied, are being denied than would be had you had the same number of applicants. That's what I'm seeing, but maybe not.
Wait, what?
Maybe I stated that wrong. So what they're saying is...
I know what they're saying here. They're trying to illustrate that, like, so they're trying to head off an argument that I'm making where they're saying that just because more people are enrolling in a particular thing doesn't necessarily mean that the denial rates would go up because it's being improperly utilized. Because here we can give an example of a type of care where even though more people are making these requests, as you can see that the chart goes down, the denial rate is actually falling for these requests. And then it's going to make the argument in the next graph, because this is up to where I read, that you can see that when the that when the enrollment in a particular thing or request a particular thing was increasing, the denial rate was still increasing for this or something, right? Over the this 12.6% going up to figure two on page 24 or whatever. But then again, all of this is like a good place to start asking questions. But then you have to actually go in. It's like, okay, well, what are these types of requests? Why are they being denied? Like you can't just like point. This is like the most basic form of like correlation equals causation ever. Like you have to like.
I just want this. Wait, hold on. I just want the one admission, and this is not a gotcha. Is it at least more than nothing in the sense of like this seems like this shouldn't be happening?
No, it's exactly
seems. No, because that's what the sentence says.
No.
It says this seems.
It's exactly what I said before, and that is a good hypothesis. It's a good part to start at. That's it.
Okay, isn't that kind of like the same thing in different words? It's like, okay, this isn't proof of anything, but this seems to be like you're intentionally doing harm. Let's try to look into this.
I wouldn't say it seems to be you're intentionally doing harm. I'd say it seems like these numbers are like dramatically out of whack. We need to figure out what's going on. Again,
okay, so do you disagree with the Blumenthal assessment that it was this implicates you are intentionally causing harm?
I don't want to know anything about what Blumenthal said. I would instantly assume the opposite.
No, it says it right here at the very bottom. Like it says like that is the recommendation. Intentionally
hold on. This is a different. This isn't like Blumenthal from the fucking.
No. Senator Blumenthal.
Sorry. Right? Oh, my bad. Because he's someone who does for.
So just Control F intentional. It suggests, like you said, so it seems to be Medicare Advantage insurers are intentionally targeting a costly but critical area of medicine, substituting judgment about medical necessity with a calculation about financial gain.
Sure.
Just a suggestion.
Sure.
And you agree with that suggestion?
It's a thing. It could also suggest that during COVID, like increased utilization of certain types of care.
Sure. There could be another explanation. This is not a smoking gun. Just all of this every time I see it. No, you keep saying
smoking gun. Smoking gun is what you say when I go into a house and I find a dead person and another guy with a where he's got like defensive
smoking gun above
wounds.
Him. Yeah, I got you.
No, with like defensive wounds, and I'm like, I think that guy did. And you're like, well, we don't have the smoking gun. You're not even close to a smoking gun. You're at like probable cause. We have to get to that point. We're like building the hypothesis, but you keep saying smoking gun, dead to rights.
I'll step back all the way. I'll step back all the way. I'm sorry, I don't have a better vocabulary.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll step back all the way there.
I'm going to reiterate what I said at the very beginning, and like this is like a good hypothesis, and it's a good start to like, oh, maybe there's something worth investigating here, and it's worth it to maybe like dig through things. Sure, but we're not even at like any circumstantial evidence or anything suggesting anything whatsoever. It's just weird.
It seems very plausible to me. Maybe it's not true. I know you like making bets. Can we put like a 5 to 10 year $5,000 bet on whether or not this comes out as something really fucking scummy?
No, because you and I aren't even going to agree what that means, because it could be that in 5 years you have 10 cases of an insurance company fucking somebody over and you think you've won, and I would say no, this doesn't prove anything. Whatever criteria we set here, we don't even agree on what we've just discussed today. How could we possibly set a criteria to a thing like that? I would automatically take a bet on the other side of that, just because I know that this particular industry is so insanely regulated that you should be asking for odds for that they could somehow escape all of the regulation around this industry to engage in like criminal malpractice here. That would be possible. It would probably be almost impossible in this industry to do it, would be my guess.
real quick, just on the regulation thing, the reason is the most regulated is a good reason, but like you got to understand is quotes from people that come out of the NIAC says it's like overcomplicated, overly bureaucratic because it's not a federal thing. It's each individual state then comes together as this like conglomerate on this weird non-governmental, but also working for the government with private and public employees, and they all have different rules, all from different states. And yeah, there is a lot of regulation on all the things we talked about, like licenses and education requirements and all that. But I don't think just because it's the most regulated means that somehow they wouldn't be able to get away with something like this. But I understand that point.
I think it just reduces the ability to get away with stuff like this, especially when the markets are so huge and so like looked at. That would be my guess. But okay.
Well, coming out of this, thank you very much for listening to my fucking schizo rant, apparently. And I appreciate it. And I know I didn't move you much, but I want to say I appreciate that you saw me as much more good faith. At very least, in that conversation, you called me a liar. I think at worst, now you can call me stupid. So thank you very much
just a debate
for giving
online,
me the...
I appreciate the
Yeah,
conversation.
okay.
Have fun. Be careful.
Yeah, well, I was going to say type 1 to enter the deep state because we got to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wait, hey,
What?
did you delete your VODs in Amsterdam? Because we ran into each other and it was on VOD and I can't find it anywhere.
It's possible. VODs get deleted for the right reason. You're not the guy that sold me drugs over there, are you?
No. My friend and I recognized you from across the street.
Oh, okay.
We were not like trying to find you. I was actually on the search for the most delicious waffle, and I was like, "Hey, that person looks familiar," because he's the guy who put me onto you back in 2017.
Gotcha.
And then you guys saw us seeing you, and you were like, "I think those guys are talking to us." So we're like, "All right, let's just not even engage," and we just kind of like brushed past you instead of stream sniping you. But I was just curious because I wanted to show that I'm not bad faith because like I could.
It's all good. The only reason I agreed to have this conversation is I don't think you're bad faith. If I thought you were bad faith, we wouldn't have had this conversation. So.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll take it. Thank you very much, Destiny. I hope we're talking again in the future. Have a great day.
Okay. Have fun. Be careful.
Bye.
Fuck. That took way longer than I thought it would. I'm so sorry. Wait, let me use this real quick. Hold on. Jesus. Um, okay. Figuring out what I think we're going downstairs to do a Bridges stream, but I think we're streaming it. But I think it's just me and Kyla. What is this? Okay. Good link. Trying to say what Colin wants to do because I'd rather host the Bridges thing than stop and start. Waiting for Destiny to know what time. Holy shit! What time? 8:30. One sec. You see Tesla stock crashing? Nope. They missed vehicle deliveries estimates Destiny first time in a decade. Nice. We're doing the Nazi talk today? No, I think we have to try to do it tomorrow. But I have to do anything else. I fly to New York tomorrow at like 8:30, so if I do anything else, it has to be probably from 4 to 7. So I have to do it in the 2 hours before. Show New York. I'm doing New York content on Saturday and Sunday. Oh, what am I waiting for? I'll lose my mind if the calendar isn't up to date. Yeah, I'll update it, and I'm deleting everything on it. Don't know 100% when things will be streamed, so everything is getting deleted on it, and if I do stream, then have fun, but... have to change. I don't know why it opens to default on that fucking scene. It drives me crazy. Holy shit. Okay. Tools, scripts, this. Yes, no, maybe, open. Fuck me. I'm gonna fucking rope this, this. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna move my stream over to the, I think the Bridges channel. I don't even know if that's, hold on. Fuck me. It's not even fuck me. Never mind. All right. Because I'm just going to sit here in silence. Okay. Never mind. I'm killing it. I'll be live on the Bridges channel. I'll tweet it out probably in like 30 minutes. Have fun. I'll see you in a bit. Bye.